Hello everybody and welcome to the final round of the J2iCS Endurance Series here at Motegi. It's time for the second of two endurance rounds, crown jewel races in the Endurance Series this season using GTP cars. As always, we are back for the final round of the season, season 10, the Endurance season. Early on this season, we had a 2-hour race at Road Atlanta. This time round it is Motegi. You'll notice we're live an hour earlier because we are starting a little bit earlier. It's a 2-hour race. Myself, Ewan, and Jim Cunningham are going to take you through the action. And Jim, this is going to be a long race, that is for sure. We'll see how it goes around this pretty undiscovered circuit as far as many of these drivers are concerned. But yeah, 2-hour race. That's a proper big test for these drivers tonight.
It is, you know, and that proved itself at Road Atlanta earlier this year. That extra half hour makes a huge difference. Which again, I don't know this circuit that well. I don't know that I actually have ever driven the road course here. So I don't know what the level of fatigue it puts on your body. Are you constantly working, or is it a relatively easy track to drive? But if they're pushing hard and this is a tough track, 2 hours is going to be a long time, and it'll certainly wear on your body.
Absolutely will. We're in qualifying at the moment, and Nottingham actually going very quickly on this very lap, actually. 3 purple sectors from him in the Cadillac at the moment. Urko just in the background, seemingly struggling to get times on the board that we'll talk about in a couple of moments' time as well here. But there is Nottingham currently leading the way. 39 is a very impressive time, by the way. We've only seen one throughout the practice sessions, and that was from Simply Steve, who's also got a 39.9 going on at the moment. 39.8 from Nottingham, but it might be about to be quicker here for him. Over the line he will go. That is going to be quicker, I think. It's going to be a 39.7 unless it doesn't count, and it doesn't count. So there you go. 39.8 is going to be what it stays at. Urko moves up to 7th place, from 9th. And that will be the end of that. But Nottingham is going to take pole for this by the looks of things. Currently in the championship, he does have the work to do. Beaver is ahead of Nottingham by just 9 points going into this final round. And so there it is, just 9 points between Beaver and Nottingham. Try not to leave it up for too long because otherwise it might get frozen on there.
Oh yeah, well you're right. Yeah, we still got about 45 seconds. No, we don't actually. Let me get that off there before it gets frozen. We'll go over that in a few minutes. Yeah, qualifying's about to come to an end here, so I think I don't think anybody else is going to get an official lap in. So these are gonna. Well, I tell you what, man. Simply Steve, he got that win last week. He showed how strong he was. Now he's qualifying second. Ahead of Beaver and Bozai. Yeah, just all of a sudden it seems like he's found a little pace in these cars,
Yeah, absolutely. And we got through the practice times through, obviously, before we start this broadcast this afternoon. Back on Friday, Steve was quickest by 1.4 seconds, the only driver to go below a 142. Even Nottingham was in that session. And on Tuesday as well, he went... sorry for my English pronunciation of Tuesday with a CH at the beginning. It's Steve who's gone fastest in that session as well by 9 tenths that time. Completed nearly 60 laps this week as well, which is no mean feat around this circuit, by the way. 60 laps is about whatever 20 times 5 is. What's 20 times 5? 100 minutes of driving?
Yes, 100 minutes.
Yeah, so he's almost done a race distance. That's only in the public practice sessions. He might have even done a little bit more outside of that as well. So he's been putting the laps in before this one. Understandably, not quite as many as Nottingham, but even so, has been putting the laps in this week. Has Steve as fire comes over the line here. Is this going to be the final time? It looks like it might well be. 7th place, though, only. The other thing we haven't talked about actually is the team's championship battle between Night Racing and Nick Squared. Beaver and Nicoletta are the Night Racing, the Nick Squared guys, and Ozak and Nottingham are the Night Racing guys. And they're only separated by 1 point at the moment. So it's almost effectively a winner-takes-all scenario. There you go, Night Racing 433 to Nick Square's 432. Should be Speed Squad, who will finish third ahead of Rookie Success, and Vision Motorsports, as you can see there on your screen. But just the 1 point, that's going to be super interesting in itself as well. I'm glad that we've got all four of them actually here this time round. For the Sprint Series last week, we didn't have all the team's championship drivers, unfortunately, that we needed, but we've got all four of them here in the last round of the Endurance Series, which is great to see.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting battle for sure. 1 point, I mean, literally every place matters in that situation. So, even if you have some trouble getting back out on track and finishing the race, could be huge. And that should have wrapped up our last lap there, hopefully. So it's going to be, interesting to watch. Oh, here we go. All right.
Here we go. Let's have a look at the starting grid. For the final time this season, Notovin takes the pole by a tenth and a half ahead of Simply Steve, with Beaver just back in third position. That's 2 points, don't forget, for Notovin for that pole position. Gavin Amman will be fourth ahead of Bozak, who is one of those team's championship contenders. Urko alongside on row 3 with Springflower, and then Nicolator down in 8th place. He needs to climb through the field from there to help out in the team's championship. It's Jason Winucki and Ryan Schwab, the final drivers, to a set times, and Dust is at the back end of the field. Not sure whether he couldn't or didn't set a lap in qualifying. I can see him in the Discord, though, chatting away. So I think he is here tonight, which is a good thing. We're going to have 11 in the field. We're going to end out our GTP endurance season here at Motegi, a 2-hour endurance race. It's going to be very interesting indeed, and the man second place in the championship, Notovin, has gotten 2 points closer to Beaver with that pole position lap time.
Yeah, and they're off on for their pace lap. This is, I'll tell you what, I'm actually very excited for this. The Sprint Series Championship was fun, but it didn't quite go down to the last split second like I'm hoping that this one does. We'll see. There's been some scenarios laid out for us, so we kind of know, what it's going to take. It's going to be interesting.
Certainly is. Notovin has got off to a good start, but he'll need to win this race most likely if he's going to beat Beaver to the title here tonight. The final round of the J2iCS Endurance Series here from Motegi as they drag their heels through the gravel. That's going to be a common theme tonight. The lights go out now, and we are racing. Beaver, his championship rival there, is benefiting from Notovin's start, in fact, and getting down the inside of Simply Stevie towards turn number 1, but Steve in the Ferrari on the outside through turn 1 is getting good purchase out there, and he's into the gravel a little bit on the outside of that corner. Cold tyres, don't forget, in these GTP cars early on, and that is something difficult to deal with early on here. Turn 2, another big braking zone, and it's Beaver on the outside this time round. Same at turn 3, but it looks like the Acura is going to get clear, and he does. Beaver moves up to second place, but it's not over yet. See, Steve gets back into the slipstream again. Acura versus Ferrari down on the brake for turn 4, and Beaver gets off to a good start. He moves up into second place, crucially, and now trails his championship rival, Notovin, who leads out front at the moment.
Yeah, we got my concern here for Beaver is Steve looks hungry, man, and like I said, he won that race 2 weeks ago, and he obviously qualified fast. He's not messing around here. If he gets on Beaver's tail and starts messing with him, that could let Notovin get away. But right now, looks like look at all this gravel. My goodness. And
unbelievable.
I know they were rusting. I know they showed a lot of off tracks in the timing and scoring during qualifying, but that's ridiculous. But yeah, obviously Steve got by him here, so that's hopefully for Notovin's sake that's gonna give him some. Oh my goodness! Look at Steve send it. No, he oversent it. Okay,
oversent it, and that is the most difficult braking zone on this circuit, no question. Down at turn 11, we'll speak about it in depth a little bit later on, but Steve goes off the circuit, and that's a pretty bad early start for him, unfortunately. Oh, off in the background there, was that Bozak? It was. So Steve's going to get back into the top 5 immediately there, but goodness me, that is a real throwaway for Steve, I'm afraid. he has got, I think he's got the best speed of anyone in this race, actually, especially in terms of race pace, which is what people were mainly talking about pre-race here. It wasn't actually the qualifying pace, although he came pretty close to that as well. It was actually the race pace for Steve that was really being talked about. So that's pretty hurtful. Although it is a 2-hour race, there's still a long time to recover.
Well, he's going to have a chance to show his race pace now because he's going to have to make up, I don't know, I guess he's only about 3.5 seconds or so, maybe 4 seconds back. So that's easily recoverable in this length of race. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, he's going to be able to have a chance to show that race pace as he gets moves back up through the field here.
Let's see how he can pass as well, whether it's going to be difficult for him to do that or not. Urko now will move up to the back of Kevin Amman for third position. This has been another good race from Amman, I've got to say. Oh, and there's a bit wide for Urko. I get the feeling of the kind of race we're going to see already here, Jim, is that a lot of people going wide, a lot of people going off, people just not quite used to this circuit, really.
I think that's it, isn't it? It's just that people don't know this circuit. It's just not one that they've put a lot of laps in on, and it's so hard. I'm trying to learn Bahrain right now for a GT3 race, and it's just impossible. I mean, you just don't know the course, and it's just so easy to miss these markers like that. Plus, this circuit seems to have a lot of character. Some slight elevation change. Oh, what?
I mean, must have a slowdown because he's just almost stopped on the straight. There goes Urko and Steve straight through.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it must have been. Let's see, did he?
I'm going to assume anyway.
Yeah, I don't show anything where it even shows that he went off track. Really strange. I don't know. Let's see here. Our gap is spreading out here a little bit between, you see Nodovan there at the front of the screen, and there's Beaver. Almost 2 seconds already. That's, of course, again, long race. Oh, was that that was Urko going off track? Yeah, I believe it was.
Yeah, Urko. You've seen so many already here.
Already,
on lap 3, just too late on the brakes.
Same place. I mean, we've seen like 3 already right there.
And look at the gravel that's brought on. I know there's a very long practice session, by the way, before we start broadcast. And look at that. Yeah, there you go. So much gravel on the outside, and he's trying his best actually to stay off the road. Fair play to him for actually staying off the racing line there to try and stay out the way, because look at the gravel around the outsides of this circuit through there. You can see it's brought into the grass and all sorts. Down here, you're going to see it as well. We saw Steve go deep down here at turn 11, because that's a super difficult braking zone as well, the most difficult in my opinion. But look at it on the left-hand side, especially through here. There it is in the grass and offline. That's going to stay there. It's been brought on through the final corner here, through that gravel trap there. It's all over the place because people have just ended up in the gravel around here.
Well, I guess they didn't, and of course they must not have turned it where it cleans in between, in between sessions. So, man, Urko has just dropped all the way to the back. It's funny though, Urko. You talked about him staying off the track to try to keep from bringing the gravel back on. But what was ironic about that was the fact that he stayed off and came right back on before the next curve. He actually brought gravel on at a more dangerous spot than a part of the straightaway. You know what I mean? He kind of brought it on at the entrance to the turn.
Yeah.
But apparently there's nothing you can do about it, because this, there's not even a lot of gravel in some of these spots, and they're bringing it back on. He was running through the grass when that happened.
Well, although having said that, if you bring the gravel into the grass, then you go through the grass. Suddenly you bring grass and gravel back on again. It's I do like the new system, by the way.
I do too.
Gravel onto it's good, but when you've got a lot of drivers going off, it does get a little bit difficult sometimes. Urko has just made his way past Ryan Schwab in the meantime for 9th place, and Springflower is under pressure from Bozak at the moment as well. I'll do some maths on the teams championship a little bit later, but my goodness, those two teams are close at the moment. I think Notovin and Bozak would currently have it, especially if Bozak's able to get ahead of Springflower. That would further cement that position, but it could well be a similar situation to last week, where whoever wins the championship, the Drivers' Championship, is also going to be teams champion, and It's very difficult, very unlikely for it to be the other way round here, especially given they're so close. Look at this. Bozak through the final corner, right on the back of Springfire at the end of lap 4 of this race.
Yeah, they've got a nice little heated battle going there. That's that's the beauty of it. You may not be up to they're shocking.
Oh,
shocking! Somebody's off course again. Wow, I'm telling you, I pointed it out before the race. I was asking you if this track was known for that or whatever, because it's, to me, you should. I mean, if I clicked on every one of these that said somebody went off track, we'd never be able to see any of the live racing. There's so many of them already.
I must admit, I am surprised about how many drivers going off the circuit with the frequency as well, because, as you say, you mentioned it before the broadcast started, and happening a lot here. And that is, as you pointed out before as well, it's going to be a concern for drive-throughs. You don't get any extra incident points because we've got an extra half an hour here. You just get the 16 that you normally get, and well, that's not a lot when you consider the amount of off-tracks we've already been having. 16 incident points over the course of 120 minutes is about 1 every quarter of an hour or so. Or no, that's not quite right. Sorry, 2 every quarter of an hour. 2 every quarter of an hour. But even so, we've seen drivers go off more than twice already in the first 8 minutes. Never mind quarter of an hour.
Hey, don't make me do any math because I don't have time to take my shoes off to count past 10. So don't do that to me. So you're in charge of all the math.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll be doing, and there will be a lot of maths, by the way, going on tonight.
A lot of math
as we're focusing on the drivers and the teams championship being settled here tonight at Motegi.
Tell you what, Steve's reeling them back in. Oh,
he is.
It's Greg Scott.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I was just about to about to say good evening to Stacey watching in, and everybody else as well who's tuned in tonight to the final round of the Endurance Series. It is Nottingham versus Beaver for the title, the driver's title, that is. They are separated by just 9 points coming into this race, with Beaver leading, but it was already lost 2 points to Nottingham, who took the pole position points. Look, Steve holds the fastest lap points right now, so in this situation, he needs Nottingham needs Beaver to drop down to 3rd place, and that would be enough for Nottingham to win the title by 1 point. Even if he does get the fastest lap points, then it still wouldn't be enough. They'd be tied on points, and Beaver would win countback because he's finished 2nd more than Nottingham. That's how close this championship is at the moment. It could come down to the amount of 2nd places they've had.
Yeah, that'd be appropriate, though, for the way this season has really gone. It's been kind of back and forth like that all season long. So Stacy there in YouTube chat, she is does a lot of sports car racing, endurance type stuff, but mostly she does a lot of that modded R Factor 2 type stuff with some of the other people out there that JPB broadcast, and that's I actually met her through that, and she's actually been helpful with me trying to get some of that software up and running. But yeah, we I just have a feeling that it could come down to that too, which would be just crazy. That it could come down to how many 2nd places you had in the season.
Yeah, it will, absolutely would be, and so we'll keep an eye on them up front. We'll also keep an eye on the team's championship, of course. Bozak putting a lot of pressure on Gavin Amman here for 5th position, could be pretty crucial. There's extended points available here tonight because it's a crown jewel race, so 53 for a win rather than the normal 35. And the lowest score for anybody, assuming that's going to be 10th place, lowest score for anybody is going to be 32, so that's still a 21-point difference from first to last, as Bozak very nearly hits Amman through turn 4 there. We will get that totted up, of course, between the teams at the moment, but it would be Nottingham and Bozak who would win the championship as things stand in there. Cadillac, Nicoletta and Beaver are going to finish in 2nd place as things stand for Nick Squared, which would be a shame for them. And Bozak looking to further cement that here with a pass.
So, okay, no, all right, it's so close that the Bozak and Nicoletta being more than like 2 places apart could end up deciding the team championship, right? What's the difference in 1st and 2nd in points for the team?
In this race, you mean?
Yeah, yes, in this race.
difference between first and second is 5 points.
5 points, okay. And so, wow, that's crazy. So the way it sits right now, Nodovan and Bozak would have a 6-point lead. Is that correct?
Or
7-point.
8.
8 points.
8 because Nottingham has got the pole position points as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's how fluid this thing is right now. That's just crazy.
Yep. It's so changeable, and it is going to change many, many more times tonight. That is for sure. I say we'll keep an eye on it, but Bozak could extend that advantage here. It's good to see Nicoletta getting off to a good start, though. We've seen so many times in the last few weeks he's had such a bad look somewhere throughout the race, but he's going well early on here tonight, which is a good thing. And he went pretty well race 2 at Oulton Park actually last week as well.
Yes,
so he's hopefully coming into a bit of good form right at the very end of the season once again here as we approach a quarter of an hour gone here. In case you're wondering, by the way, in terms of pit stops, we won't see any for a while. 31 laps are expected out of a stint, and that should require 2 pit stops over the course of this afternoon. We shouldn't be making it to an hour, you wouldn't expect. 31 laps around here should be somewhere in around 50 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more than that, 55 minutes. So the last stop is going to be a real splash and dash, but the middle stop of the day should be a pretty long one to take on a long fuel and possibly some tyres as well. But track temperature's not that high at the moment because we are heading towards sunset this evening, I am told. In Sim, the race start is supposed to be 30 minutes before sunset, although not sure I really believe that the sun's going to be setting in 15 minutes time looking at the conditions at the moment.
Well, it was kind of overcast because I even questioned bumping the brightness up just in general because it was overcast and it just didn't have that kind of sparkle, to it or whatever. So it's entirely possible because we won't see such a dramatic change since it's already overcast. But so look at what the comment that Sector 9 put in the YouTube chat. He says Nicoletta is out of town and he's racing on a different sim rig tonight. How tough you think that is to jump in an oddball sim rig that's not yours and try to drive one of these GTP cars on the edge? That's got to be tough.
Yeah, it depends how easy you find it to jump between different simulators and get used to it quickly or not. Some people do get very uncomfortable.
Jumping in and having fun is one thing. Jumping in and running on a razor's edge for 2 hours is a whole nother animal, Speaking of that, let's see probably nothing here, but, he's carrying a lot of speed through there.
Wide. Got away with it through turns 7 and 8 there, the S's.
It showed he went off track. I haven't seen it off track yet, though.
Yeah, I think that was it, just going slightly wide there. It would have been counting as an off track, I think. I think the camera angle made it look like he was still on the tarmac, but I think he was on the grass.
Yeah, let's just real quick. We got time. Oh, it's not like we're in a big giant rush here, so let me let's go back and look at it this way just to see. I just want to see because that camera angle certainly did not make it look like he ran. Oh yeah, okay, all right. He did a good job there. That car almost broke loose on him. Did you see that? He hit that grass and the back tires almost started to come around, I guess, and he gathered it up. That was nice.
Yep. He's still in the game. Had a very easily spun through the grass there, but still in the game. Yeah, I'm not sure who Sector 9 is, to be honest. Just a mysterious voice telling us that Nicoletta is
that's true.
away
that's
from
right.
whatever. But we'll trust that information.
A mysterious voice.
Yep. Very, very mysterious. But anyway,
it's kind of ominous. He could be feeding us bogus information.
I always fear that when I'm doing these broadcasts.
That'd be about right, wouldn't it? Man, I tell you what, Steve looks like he's getting serious here again, though. He's caught back up to this lead group after that little trekkie, little off-road excursion he went on earlier, and he is putting some heat on the back of Beaver right now.
He is so close to Beaver at the moment. Just looks so quick as well right now. So quick.
Sector 9 said he's on my rig right now. That's how he knows. Well, that's about as factual as you can get, I guess. Pictures or it didn't happen. No, I'm kidding.
I'm sat there looking at him. That's why.
That's right. He's on my rig. So there you go.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah, right? Can't get any more accurate than that.
No, absolutely. Fair play for the commitment, by the way. I'm not sure what the reason for being away is, but if he's just on a jolly, as we'd say in England, then still doing sim racing, then fair play.
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Having a jolly?
Yeah.
Jolly holiday?
Yes. Just a jolly, the way you said. That's the first time I've ever heard it. That's interesting. A jolly.
A jolly? Yeah, you can have American mates with that one if you want.
Yes, right. Well, the funny thing is I've picked up so much British, stuff because of working with all you guys that I say things now, like, fair play to him. That's not really an American saying.
You don't do fair play in America.
No, not really. I mean, you could, but it's not really something that's common. And now I find myself saying fair play all the time, and I get these weird looks from people.
That's good. That is good.
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of them I've picked up over,
Yeah. No, I
like
do find that with English phrases.
Having a chin wag with someone, you say that and you really get some strange looks from Americans.
People don't realise this, but there's a serious language barrier going on when we do these broadcasts.
Yes, absolutely. And the fact that we're not looking at each other, like the fact that, sometimes you talk over someone when you don't intend to just because they took a breath and you thought they were done talking or whatever.
Yeah, it does. And of course, a slight delay as well, which makes it sound like we're talking over each other even when we aren't. So there you go. That can be a problem as well. But anyway, that's the joys of broadcasting. Meanwhile, a gap for the lead between the front three. It's all less than a second here. 1, 2 and 3. Not Beaver and Steve all covered by a blanket as it stands. They've got over 8 seconds over fourth place at the moment, so they've got a real good advantage in that respect. But I think this is a little bit about how can Steve work his way through here. For me, he's the quickest driver in this race, but it's actually about making the overtakes here and how he's going to be able to manage that rather than anything else. He's crawling all over the back of Beaver at the moment, but where is he going to pass him?
Oh, he absolutely is. Let's see if we can. Let's get a look at Steve in here working right now. See how hard he's pushing. I figured he'd have a fancier uniform than that, and looks like he does have a McDonald's sponsorship, which would probably not go well for me. I probably wouldn't be able to fit in the race car after that, but and his Bell helmet he's got going on there. But I thought we'd have a look at him putting the workout in.
What's that written on his arm? I can't quite work it out. I don't think it was readable, but it's on his. It's a circuit that obviously turns to the right more than left, and you see when he's turning left. So I'm never going to be able to figure it out. But
well, don't go off track just for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, actually, hold on. You know what? Maybe we can.
Oh, hello. It's a dangerous game.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, and he's going for. Oh no, he's not going for it. Yeah. Hello. We're in trouble now. Here we go.
That didn't work at all.
Don't know. Anyway, yes, it's happened before. James was trying to do that once, and he zoomed right into an area that we didn't want to see really. If we're honest, Bozak seems to have been off the road, down to 8th place now, along with Jason Winucki. There might have been a 2-car incident going, and Urko, is back with them as well here. So yeah, all sorts going on. Nicolator has got up to 6th place. Bozak's gone for a spin on his own through the final corner, and there's some more gravel to bring onto the circuit, if you don't mind. And there goes Nicolator through into 6th position on the circuit. And so Jason Winucki and Urko were there anyway. But yeah, Bozak drops down a little bit, and suddenly the team's championship equation gets a bit more complicated now. It's going to get more so as well as Steve gets another good run down the way towards turn 11. He was very late on the brakes here down before, and that would maybe put him off doing it again, and it has done there. He doesn't go for a move, but look at this, super close now.
Yeah, he took a nice wide angle there. It looks, I mean, it's like, I almost want to say like he feels more comfortable on this track than some of these other guys. You know what I mean? He's using more of the track, which is a sign that he's more comfortable with it, you know. For lack of a better term, he just looks smoother, you know. But I tell you what, it's like last couple of races of the season, he found some speed.
Yeah.
Because he was, you know, he was more of a 4th, 5th, 6th place kind of guy, and just all of a sudden now he's jumped up there and is a contender in these races to win, you know.
Yeah, and by the way, we haven't talked about it yet, but that he's one of those drivers who is within 23 points of 3rd place, and that's within a viable margin for you to close today. Maximum points gain on any other driver is 25, although you would need to take every single point. That's 57 points from this afternoon. The drivers involved in that, by the way, Nicoleta, Bozak, Steve, Springflower, and Jason Motegi as well. So they are all here, and they're all involved in that battle for 3rd place. And maybe Steve is just getting this form at the right time to get that 3rd place in the championship. But if he carries this into next season, who knows where he could get to?
I know, right? Well, I'm dying to know what cars they're going to run next season. You know, I messaged them earlier last week and to find out, and like I explained during the sprint race, the decisions haven't been made yet. I think it's they go through a little voting process and a process of elimination of cars that they've previously run or whatever, you know, or want to run, and then they work it down, whittle it down from there. I'm dying to see what cars they decide to run next season. I think GT3s would be interesting because of the new tire model that's coming out on those, because the GT3 class is going to change just about as dramatically as this class did. And so I think it would be kind of interesting to run those cars with that fresh tire model. That would be fun. And but I just and it's popular, you know. It's easy to fill a grid up with GT3s. Everybody wants to race them, you know. So, yeah, I just it'd be interesting. I'm dying to know what cars they're going to run, you know, because I love the split format they do. It's, you know, every week it's, you know, you're back and forth, so it doesn't get boring or whatever, you know. It's cool. I like it. Winooski just pitted.
Yeah, and that is not too early, by the way. You can still make one more stop and make it home after that, because we've done enough laps now. The pit window is very much open at this stage in the day. But, yeah, lap 11 is when this pit window opened, by the way. So he's taken a very early opportunity to come in. But I don't think that was down to damage, but just wanted to get out of traffic a little bit maybe, and drops to 10th place while hitting in there. And... well, he will have that bit of clean air now, whether that's what he was hoping for or not. He will be in that bit of clean air, having made the earlier stops of today's race.
There's something to be said for doing, there's, you know, something to be said for getting in clean air and running out there by yourself to turn some quick lap times. But also in an endurance race, and something you don't factor in or people don't talk about is, sometimes running by yourself is one of the worst things that you can do in these races, because it causes you to lose focus. And, you know, a lot of times it's a lot easier to maintain your focus when you've got a carrot dangling out there in front of you, so to speak, you know, or even behind you for that matter, you know. I don't know. So I think that could go both ways, you know. Certainly clean air is good for your lap times, but, you know, over the course of a long haul, to get out there and run 30, 45 minutes by yourself during a stretch can be, you know, kind of monotonous and maybe get to you. And by the way, I see Sector 9 there. He mentioned again about when the GT3 overhaul drops. It's supposed to come with the new season, with the new update that's coming at the end of the season. So what is that? I guess like, where are we in? I'm not.
2 weeks?
Two or 3 weeks, yeah, something like that. And more than likely they'll drop it early in week 13, because they, you know, they'll have some kind of thing that features GT3s probably every day jumping from track to track, and so that people can get used to the tire model. But it's supposed to be a big deal. They're saying, "Oh, Steve, no," but he didn't. No, he just kind of he stuck it out there to see. It looks like maybe to see if he was if Beaver was going to react to it or not.
Yeah, and well, he nearly did there. Beaver a little bit out of shape through that final section. He's going to, well, no, Steve's not close enough quite, but yeah, I mean, it almost looked like Steve there was just trying to avoid more of an accident rather than anything else, and just pulled out the out the way there just to, just to avoid an accident rather than actually try and make a pass down the inside.
Maybe he was late getting to his brakes or something and thought he might, run into the back of Beaver if he, so maybe he reacted like that just, as a precautionary thing. One of the interesting things I see going around here, and this is, kind of trivial, I guess, in the overall picture as we're watching these guys run. I noticed that this must be an older scan of this track, obviously, because this track changed its name back, I don't remember exactly when, but the signage around here still indicates that the name is Twin Ring Motegi, which was the original name, and that was, of course, obvious because they have a road course and an oval, so that's why it was called Twin Ring. Honda built this track to try to bring more attention to open wheel sports, specifically IndyCar, because they were heavily involved in IndyCar at the time, and they wanted to bring more attention to bring more of the Japanese fans into IndyCar because of their heavy investment in IndyCar. And so they built this track and brought. Somebody's pitting there. Is that? That was Nicola. That was Beaver. Yeah, Beaver just.
Beaver's in.
He sure did. I guess he decided he didn't want to run that pack anymore. He's going to try to do an undercut here. That's going to be interesting to see. We'll have to keep an eye on his pit time so we can compare that when they come out. So, yeah, Honda built this track, and they brought IndyCar here for a while. And I think it's been maybe since like 2010 or 2012 since the last IndyCar race was I believe, run here.
11,
Yeah. And, of course, again, we talked about this at some point during the season. I don't know if it was on this series or the Sprint series, but this is obviously the most famous moment for this track. Probably was the moment that this is where Danica Patrick got her first and only win in an Indy car. It was on the oval side here, and so that was obviously a big deal, because she was extremely popular, and a female getting a win in IndyCar. If I'm not mistaken, she's the only one to ever do it, and it was here, and so that's but I think this track changed its name now. It's called Mobility Resort Motegi now, I believe, is the name of it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So obviously the scan here has got to be several years old. Just an observation that led into a long story. Look at Steve.
I think it is an earlier scan. Yeah, Steve looking so strong at the moment. That's my slight concern for what Beaver has just decided to do. By the way, it's just that why would you pit and give Steve such a big opportunity like that to use his speed to get straight to the back of Nottingham? Now, maybe he's not going to do anything with that in the next few moments. I don't know, but not sure why he would give that opportunity up so easily here. As by the way, we're 31 minutes through the race. I'm still not seeing the early signs of sunset that were promised, unless I've interpreted this sheet wrong. It says that race start in sim should be 30 minutes before sunset, and here we are, very much in the light.
We are, which, to be honest, I hope this thing goes dark, because at Sebring when we went dark, man, there's just something about GTP cars rolling around with their headlights on, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it just to me brings up some of the, like, I don't know what's the right word, but it makes me think of Sebring and Le Mans, and running at night, and to me there's there's a certain I can't think of the right word for that, but it just, to me, it kind of makes me feel like that's what these cars should be doing. You know, these to me have always been endurance cars. They're not really sprint race cars. And seeing them run at night with the headlights, and you know, to me, it's so cool. I love it.
Yep, it's going to be a good end to the season when that gets there. Urko, meanwhile, gets alongside Nicolator and goes through into 6th position, by the way. I think they're still side by side. See how it's all happened, though. This is from a few moments back.
Yep.
Urko was on the outside line on the way then towards turn 10, that is, and then got the run down the straight. We'll just stay with it down the bottom end of the hill here, because it sounds like they were exchanging positions a couple more times down here. Nicolator late the brakes around the outside, holds his ground, but he's always going to get edged out just a little bit there, and Urko slips through on the inside line and will lead them onto the straight. So
let's go see where they're at. There we go. Now this is live here, so yeah, they've swapped spots a couple times, it looks like.
They certainly have. And
did I lose you for a second? Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it was interesting. It just kind of seemed like your mic faded there for a second. I had this moment of flash where I thought I was fixing to have to talk for the next hour and a half, and I was going to be like, this is going to be really rough. An hour and a half of me telling stories to myself. Oh, no!
Oh, Urko goes for a spin. Just as soon as he got to 6th place, he spun round through turn 7 and got into the gravel. Here's some more gravel for your circuit. Oh, right onto the apex as well. He's brought that on.
In there.
Yeah, mate. That wasn't great rejoining, but anyway, we'll try it. See what Ryan Schwab can see here as he comes through turn 8 next time round. Because have a look at this in a moment. He's going to get a very nasty surprise here. Maybe, to be fair, these days it comes up with a warning, to be fair. And there you go.
Oh, it's right there, too.
That's pretty horrible.
Yeah, I was at I did a race at the Nordschleife today, and somebody dumped a bunch of gravel right in the apex, man. And it caught me, too. I slid right off track. I sure did. It got me.
Says start time might have gotten messed up because it looks like race start was set for 4:30 p.m. in Sim, and it probably won't go dark. Does anyone know the date in Sim today?
That's interesting. Yeah, well, that's a bummer if that's. I mean, you know, it would have just been cool. I just, for me, you know, like I said, there's just something so nostalgic. That was the word I was trying to find earlier. Was, you know, just something so nostalgic about seeing a GTP car running around with its headlights on at night. I don't know. That's probably the old guy in me.
Yeah, I think it would have been interesting as well, but these drivers are probably quite thankful that it's not going to be too dark. I think if it's set to today's date, then it's going to get a little bit darkish towards the end, because sunset will be about 10-15 minutes after the race finishes if it started at 4:30. So if it's set to today's date, then there's a bit of a chance to see some nice dark running a little bit later. I don't really understand the sunset times in Japan, to be honest with you, because it's 10 to 7 at the moment. Then what is it in December and in July and whatever? Because that seems like the middle of nowhere. It's not getting towards winter, that kind of sunset time, but it's not getting towards summer either. So what is that? What is that in May? I don't understand.
I don't know. I haven't. That's an interesting point. I do not know, and I've personally never spent any time in that part of the world, so I don't have a real frame of reference. I think, I probably would avoid going to that part of the world just because they make everything for people who are 5'8", not 6'8". No, it's true though. I mean, just everything there is just a little smaller, and I mean, can you imagine, doors and beds and chairs and everything?
I've never thought about that, to be honest, but there you go. As an average sized, well, probably below average size, fit quite in well, actually.
Yeah, you would, actually. That's right. Well, I'll tell you what, things have kind of spread out here a little bit. This is really the closest battle we got on track right now.
That's why I'm
Spring
having a look at
flower
the
here
graph of the sun in Japan.
Well, it's interesting information to share.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
apparently, sunset is never really past 7 p.m. ever.
really?
Doesn't really make sense at all. Yeah. Daylight at its very maximum goes from 4:30 to 7:01.
4:30 in the morning?
Yeah. 7:01 in the evening.
No wonder they're so productive over there. They get up at 4:30 in the morning.
I mean, this time of year, you start to get sunrise in about that time here in the UK as well.
Do you? Oh no,
you start to get
No, we're at least an hour past that here.
Sunrise this morning, for example, is going to be 10 to 5 in where I am.
All right, now you got me wanting to know.
Oh, off! It's right in front of the leaders. It's not one of the leaders, though. I thought Notvin had gone straight on. It looks like Jason Motegi has gone straight on instead. And there at turn 4, but it scared me for a moment that was Notvin.
Oh, well, that's all right. We needed our blood pressure raised. Let's go back and have a look at Oh yeah, he just missed his shot it right through. Well, I'll tell you what. When how sometimes if you're following a car, like Notvin was right there. Sometimes if they run off, you run off too, just because you don't pay attention. That could have certainly got Notvin right there. That would have really messed him up.
It's a good job he was paying attention. Sector 9 says that they set them to current day typically, so the sun will set about 10-15 minutes after we've finished here. Apparently the reason why is because they're close to the equator. It means the fluctuations between winter and summer is less, whereas in somewhere like the UK or even northern USA or Canada, I suppose it fluctuates quite a lot.
Are they? See, now I would think that I'm closer to the equator than they are.
You're about the same.
Is it? I'd have to look at a map, but
I'm looking at one right now.
Okay.
I think you're about the same. Maybe you might be right. You're a little bit closer.
Okay, so today our sunset here in Houston, in Texas, was 8:15, and our sunrise was 6:22 this morning. Yeah, so see, we're good. We're good hour plus, later than you guys, which suits me just fine. Although I get up early. I get up early now, but I was always the guy like you who, I mean, people don't realize it, but it's 2:45 in the morning right now for you, isn't it?
Yep, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's working overnight here, bringing this coverage to you guys. Yeah, should be appreciative of that, and the fact that he's still alert at 2:45 in the morning.
Well, that's more debatable. but yeah, that does make that a little bit harder. I'm sure that anybody who has ever done a night job or whatever will understand that sometimes when you are staying up a little bit later, in the winter it's a little bit easier to fall asleep, obviously, because it's still dark when you're actually going to bed. Certainly, what I do about 4 or 5 in the morning, but. In the summer, as I say, sunrise has happened often before I've gone to bed at 10 to 5, so that can be a bit of a problem. Suddenly, your brain thinks you should be awake, which of course you probably should be.
Well, I mean, that's debatable, I mean, seriously, I've always thought. I'll tell you what, people who work at a late shift, and sleep during the day, the world has no respect for you, People knocking on your door, delivering packages and soliciting whatever, or what I mean, like phone. Well, of course.
Soliciting.
Oh well, yeah, like selling things like.
Selling stuff. Do people still knock on your door and sell you stuff?
Oh, absolutely. They're especially like services, like grass cutting, tree trimming.
Right. American.
Oh, is it? I didn't realize that, but yeah, They constantly, man. We probably get 2 or 3 here in Houston a day that are are grass cutting people. Like in fact, it's so bad because I do nap during the day. This is way too much information for the people listening. I apologize. I do nap during the day because of the weird hours I keep. And my wife put a sign out there, don't knock on the door to try to sell us anything. We don't want it. Don't bother leaving your business card. We've already got a grass service and a tree trimming service. And yeah, they're just constantly knocking on the door, wanting to talk to you about cutting your grass and giving you a deal on cutting your grass or trimming your trees or what else? Just all kinds of stuff like that. And then of course you get the kids selling candy for Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts or whatever, and things like that. And
that's me. I tell you, in the UK, that would be like going 20 years back in time, because that did used to be
really.
Thing. But I mean, I think there was a bit of a push for it about 20 years ago to sort of stop doing it because it's just annoying. We're not as sociable, I don't think, as Americans. So.
Now they can call your cell phone to solicit you. Back in the day, that was illegal because, cell phone minutes cost you money, right? But now, so now they call your cell phone just like they call, back in the day, they used to call your home phone trying to solicit stuff. And that's constant, too. I guarantee you, I get at least 5 calls a day that are trying to either sell me some medical device or trying to get me a good deal on what else do they call for? Loans. Oh my gosh, like take a second mortgage out on your home or this line of credit or it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's that's why I don't answer my phone. It's slightly slightly amusingly, that's not very amusing, but because obviously weird hours, as we've been talking about, I'm very often not awake because my phone's always on silent. I don't ever have to pick up or have the displeasure of that anyway, so I get away with that quite a bit.
I never take my phone off silent for that very reason.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, it's
never too far away from me, and I look at it often, but I don't ever. I don't
ever do that. To be fair, I'm not not very good with that. But, nobody's. I'm not responsible for anybody, in fairness, so I don't really need it.
Yes.
To be honest, I think we should all just put our phones in the shredder and just.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I can live without mine at this point. It's just so nice having information, just like you just did. So I said something, and within 15 seconds, you had the answer. Or you know what I mean. There's something that we take for granted about having that level of knowledge at our fingertips.
Yeah.
What?
I think. Knowing so much is maybe hurtful. Here comes a replay of Nicoletta down in towards turn 11. Had to lock that one down. And that will be Urko who slipped through there, by the way. The reason I've not chatted about championship points for a while is not only because the Drivers' Championship contenders are so far apart at the moment, because one's pitted and one hasn't, but I've not talked about the Teams' Championship for the same reason. There's literally no point because it will all figure itself out as we continue on.
This is not going to be good.
This is Jason Winucki down into turn 9. Goes for a pretty quick spin.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. They called that a crash, but I get why. But that was the first one that's popped up red on my notification thing tonight. So I was like, uh-oh, he's done caught the wall. But that's not bad. He bounced right back from that.
It's not too easy to hit the wall around here, I've got to say.
No, there's plenty of gravel. We know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just over 45 minutes in now, and Notvin still leads Steve. Eva and Jason Winucki are the only drivers to have come into pit lane so far, and Notvin's just taken the fastest lap. So,
there he goes.
He is getting a little bit closer. It doesn't really matter where the fastest lap goes, to be honest, at the moment. It only really matters if they both, Beaver and Notvin, drop down the field and they start getting very minor points and all that kind of thing. But for now, now they're running at both up the top 3. It doesn't matter whether Notvin or has got the fastest lap or not, really. He just needs Beaver to be in 3rd place or worse, and that would be the title for Notvin, but still got a very long way to go with that. And should be just 3 laps now until we see the pit stops.
So here, interesting fact is, as I'm looking at this last lap, I was looking to see, the time since he just had set that fast lap and everything. I was looking here at the different times, and Simply Steve and Beaver ran exactly the same lap time last lap, 140.71.
Yeah.
Which is, I just found that interesting. And to put that into perspective, Nodovan just ran a 40.31. And those are the only three drivers lapping in the 40s right now. Everybody else is in the 41s. In fact, well, both of those guys, two of them just jumped up into the 41s. So, yeah, so those three guys are still clearly the fastest three in the field, which shouldn't be surprising. That's been that way since we started. It's really going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out when the pit stops come. The difference is, which can be good and bad, I guess, in these cars, but Nodovan's going to have much, much, much fresher tires, which in actuality, if he has to take a splash and go later in the race, he could skip tires because his tires are so much newer than where Beaver's tires are. Just a thought there, strategy-wise, possibly, I guess.
I think those last few lap times do show that Beaver's actually going really well at the moment, because
he is.
Quite apart from the tyres thing, he'll also have a lot more fuel on board at the moment, because he's just pitted. Not sure what the actual lap to pitch is going to be on, because obviously this is a timed race. We don't know how many laps there are. We don't know when there are 31 laps to go. So that's going to be difficult to work out. But we are going to see when these two come in how many minutes they can do for definite. There should be 2 more laps after this one. That should take them past 52 minutes. We'll see exactly what the timing is on that in a few moments. But expect to see Beaver in not too long after we get 52 minutes to go in this race. Looks like he wants to make that last pit stop as early as possible and run to the end, and he seems quite happy to run on a relatively heavy fuel load.
Well, something we haven't really looked in on. Let's go back. Let's take a look. Maybe let's go to the chopper view and go back and see where Beaver's at. He's out there all by his lonesome, which we talked about earlier. Could be good. Well, it definitely is good from a sense of free lap times, free track, but could potentially be bad because you lose your focus. But I was just trying to see if there's any other cars that we could see anywhere near him. See if the blimp
He's almost a lap behind the leaders, by the way.
Is he?
You didn't skip. He didn't skip very much further up the circuit, actually, when you skipped to him there. I couldn't help but notice.
Well, that's
not
good.
sure where the leaders will be now.
Let's pull the track map up and see if it'll tell us. So there's Beaver right there, and the leader is right behind him. Yeah, what, maybe 10 seconds or so, maybe?
You catch a glimpse of him on this picture here. Watch out for the other road that he's just come down the bottom of your screen. There they go.
Yeah.
If you saw that, there were like 2 dots flying past.
They were 2 dots. Yes.
That's the gap. That makes me wonder a little bit here, because the lap times are 100 seconds. Surely a pit stop round here isn't that long. And Ammerman is coming out the pit lane. So, yeah, Beaver's had a long stop here. And I suspected as much. Jason Motegi was very close, actually, as Beaver came out the pit lane. He was very close. And Gavin Ammerman has just come out in front. Now, Ammerman is 20 seconds behind Stephen Notvin when he made that pit stop. Now, I know there'll be cold tyres and all sorts to work themselves out here, but this has been a long stop for Beaver. And Notvin and Steve are going to have a huge advantage in this race.
Really long stop. If you look at it compared to Ammerman's stop, he was 22 seconds slower for the whole pit lane time.
I wonder if he sped.
Well, that wouldn't be enough, though, would it? 22 seconds?
But Ammerman's taken on nearly a full tank of fuel there, because he did nearly a full stint.
That's true.
He will have taken on less than half a tank, because he would have been less than half, about half full still.
Okay, so let's look. 39 seconds for for Ammerman. 104. You know what? He might have sped. That does look about like 40 seconds, doesn't it? If you factor in the fuel.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to work out, because we don't know the fuel difference.
Sure,
but I reckon so. I reckon so. Well, it is lap 31, by the way, so we're about to see Notovin and Steve do the same thing, and we'll just keep an eye on their pit entry because it will be interesting to see how they get on to pit lane here. It's, in case you've not seen the pit entry around this circuit before, and I'm aware that a lot of any of you watching tonight might not be so familiar with this circuit, but it's a pretty difficult pit entry, actually, in this final sector. Not to mention the fiddly nature of the actual sector going through on it in the correct way. Here
so he did
comes,
not pit.
No, neither of them. Steve's coming in though.
Steve is.
Yes, there it is though, and look at that, straight off the course, straight on the brakes into a very tight chicane. Slowest corners on this circuit by a long way, and then you're into the pit lane. But yeah, how he's managed to speed Beaver or do whatever he's done, I'm not sure, because that's a very long stop. Anyway, Notovin's been able to go another lap further. He's not going to be able to make this on one stop because he's still got more than 7 minutes to go to halfway. But he is giving himself an extra lap less to take of fuel a little bit later on.
Yeah, again, all kind of playing into what I talked about, which is being able to take a more of a splash and gas situation and go, and maybe not change tires and really save some time, because every lap of fuel that he saves at this point is huge.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Nicolator's coming out.
Especially when the second pit stops of the day are going to be so short. Every second is going to make the difference. Steve is going to be coming out the pit lane now. Beaver's actually stuck behind Gavin Amman immediately here, so Amman had some time to get the tyres up to temperature, and it's not been going. Maybe that's what a lot of this time loss has been about as well, because tyres up to temperature is going to take forever in these conditions on this circuit as well. Beaver's going to go through on Amman. Steve miles out in front. He's already out the pit lane, and even cold tyres isn't going to put him back to where these guys are. What about Springflower? We've not spoken about him pretty much at all tonight, but he is going to come out ahead of Beaver just about, but have a look at this on cold tyres. There's going to be no chance for Springflower to hold off some of these guys. Ryan Schwab's going to be right behind. Look at this, it's such an ordeal coming out the pit lane, and Beaver's going to be right there in moments.
Well, one thing about the tires, it's a little easier to get the tires up to temperature. Speaking of that, there you go. There's one spot lost right there, and here comes Beaver. It is a little easier to get them up to temperature after a pit stop as opposed to the beginning of the race, because the brakes are so hot. You're still carrying a lot of brake temperature in these cars, upwards of 400 to 600 degrees, and that starts heating up the inner beads on those tires, and that does make a difference. Just like back in the old days, you could drag the brake on the car and cause the tires to heat up better, right? Like NASCAR, that used to be a trick to qualifying and iRacing with NASCAR, was you drug the brake on your qualifying on your outlap, and it would heat the tires up for you.
I don't think you're allowed to do that anymore, are you?
No, you're not. No, and that's why, because it worked. But it's the same principle. If you put cold tires on a 600 degree set of brakes, it's obviously going to warm up faster than a set of brakes that are at 100 degrees or something, right?
Yeah.
So nevertheless, he still took Springflower off track, and he now has Gavin Ammerman all over him.
Yeah, and Ammerman's going to slip through on the front straight here. Still not up to temperature, even after a lap. Urquhart's going to drop behind them all, making his pit stop. And Notovin's finally in now at the end of lap 32. Was that at the end of 33, maybe? Nearly 56 minutes gone in this race. And if he does that again, he'll stop for the final time with only 8 minutes left in this race. That would be a very strong run indeed for him.
My goodness, what happened there?
Ammerman slows, and Springfly gets straight back through again.
That's twice Ammerman has done that in this race. Remember early we thought he picked up a slowdown? And it was the same exact kind of move like that.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
I guess so.
Yeah, you remember earlier, because I was looking for how did he get a slowdown? I don't even show he went off track.
Yeah.
That's twice he's done that in this race.
Yeah.
Very weird. Very weird.
Very
so
weird.
Notomin is still in. Let's see. I'm just looking at. I'm not going to necessarily go to him because it's a good little battle here, but and that's now he's trying to pass him back. I don't get it.
No, a little bit strange.
Okay.
Aaron, though, is going to stay behind, and Springfly will hold on to that place as Notovin does come out the pit lane. Now, watch out for this on cold tyres. He's miles ahead of Steve for now, but Steve will be right up to temperature by now because of a couple of laps spent out there on the circuit at full speed, whereas Notovin, look at how much time he loses, 5 seconds effectively. And we'll see whether Steve is close enough to actually get past Notovin here, because this gap's going to come down frighteningly quickly.
Yeah, I don't. We'll see. That's it's going to be interesting.
I mean, that's a second and a half through turn 2 and 3.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Is. But again, that'll slowly separate itself. But we'll see. I mean, but Steve is as fast as Notovin, certainly. So it wouldn't shock me if he did pass him. I went to this aerial view so that we could kind of see him gaining on him there a little bit like that.
He'll be there. He'll be right there. I think he's got a strike here. I think he's got to try and do this.
Yeah, this would be a good spot right here coming up out of this section right here. If he gets off the turn well, which he did. He got a nice drive off right there, yeah. Oh, yeah, he's
great chance. Notovin knows this is a huge moment, and he can't brake late enough. Steve goes right round the outside. There's so nearly contact. He put a lot of trust in Notovin there, despite the fact the Cadillac wouldn't have had very much turning there at all. He really cut down, and Steve has got those tyres up to temperature very nicely. He's got past Notovin. He's struck when he needed to, and now he's even pulled the second already. This is huge for Steve here.
Let's. I'm gonna give this. There's a little gap. Apparently, Bozak has crashed.
Oh, whoa! He has. He's been in rear first. Oh, this is huge.
Oh,
this is absolutely huge for night racing. Notovin has lost the lead, and Bozak has lost his rear wing.
Oh yeah, he's in bad shape. What happened? I think he went off track and on his own here. Maybe
he's reversed himself.
Oh no!
That's so clumsy.
Oh my goodness! Wow, got some elevation on that wing there.
That's cold tyres, by the way. Why he's spinning around like that, and then here again he's got damage, obviously.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, yeah. Talk about the team championship taking a jump there. All right. Well, now let's see what's going to happen up here.
Well, Beaver is still behind Notovin, but at the moment Beaver would be in a championship winning position. Even if Notovin gets the bonus points, then he'd still only be gaining 7. He's 9 points behind coming in today. What he needs is to win the race and Beaver to be in third. At the moment, Beaver is in third, but Notovin needs to beat Steve, and that's looking pretty difficult.
All right, I'm going to throw this out there. Right now, Beaver is 21 seconds behind Notovin, okay? Let's forget about Steve right this second. Just forget about him. If Notovin can save enough fuel to make up about 3 minutes, he could one-stop this race. If he one-stops, well, I mean, he made it to 57 minutes.
Yeah. Let's put it in laps equation here. We just crossed the halfway point now, so that was 35 laps in the first hour. Let's assume that we're going to do 35 laps in the second hour as well, which I think is a pretty safe assumption. That's the 70 lap race tonight. He did 33 laps in that first stint, Notovin. He would have to go 4 more than that to make it all the way home.
Okay. So, yeah,
that seems like a lot to me.
That might be pushing it, yeah. Because if he can one-stop this race, he's going to gain over a minute on Beaver, which would be huge. But I guess it doesn't really matter how far he is from Beaver. What matters is how many people are between him and Beaver.
Exactly, yeah. And so it's Steve who really wants to be worrying about, I think, at the moment. Otherwise, you're relying on Beaver to make a mistake somewhere, which I don't think is a very safe assumption or whatever to be making.
But if he one-stopped this race, he would also be able to get past Steve again and be in the lead of the race. Because Steve cannot one-stop the race, I don't think.
No. But I think he'd lose so much time fuel, because you've got to remember, it's not going to be another 40-second stop like what they all just did.
Yes.
To take on a full tank of fuel and
Right.
and do tyres. It's going to be, it's barely a splash. I mean,
Right.
if Steve does 31 laps again here, he'll need 8 laps of fuel to make it to the end of the race. That's
Right.
not going to take very long to get into the car at all.
It won't be a splash for Beaver, though. Because Beaver's going to have to pit when? What lap did he pit on originally? Let me go see. 17? 17.
17.
17.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to pit in roughly, let's see, 40, 33, 40, 50, lap 50. So he's going to have to pit in about 13 laps.
Yep. I'm putting in about 20 laps of fuel, so that'll be enough for another tyre change as well. That'll be at least 25 seconds station.
More like closer to 30 laps of fuel.
Yeah, so it'll be about, 3/4, 2/3 of a tank.
Yeah,
like that.
well, because we were estimating that it was going to go 70 laps, right?
Yep.
So if he comes in at lap 50, okay, no, if he comes in at 50, it's only 20 laps of fuel. Never mind. My bad. See, I told you. And if I don't take the shoes off, I'm in trouble every time.
You need more than that for 30, to be fair.
I do. Well, I got weird situation. The doctor, we won't talk about it. It's like duck feed. I don't know, whatever. No, it's, So, I mean, I don't know. It was just a thought, but like you said, you got to save, you're going to lose a lot of time fuel saving, and you're still having to trust that people are going to get between you and Beaver. Because it doesn't matter the distance between them. But I'll tell you what, Simply Steve's not worried about distance right now because he's got his lead up to almost 5 seconds over Donovan right now. Let's go back to that blimp shot and see if we can catch them both in the same camera shot. I know we can there they are, yeah. I mean, that's a pretty nice gap he's opened up in. What?
Nearly 5 seconds.
4 laps.
I think he's showing now what I always suspected actually through the first stint of this race is that actually he was stuck behind Notovin. He might have even been saving a bit of fuel himself, but the Ferrari might not be as fuel efficient. I might be making that up, but he's for me he's showing the pace he's always had now after being rather stuck in that first stint. Really. Well,
I would find it hard to believe that the Cadillac was better on fuel than anybody else with that big thunder and normally aspirated V8 motor. You know what I mean? I guess in theory it could be, but those things are notorious gas monsters compared to a turbocharged 6-cylinder.
I was going to say, I think that car actually is the...
is it really?
I mean...
Are you making that up too? No.
If it's possible. But put it this way, Notovin and Bozak were the only ones able to do 32 and 33 laps in that stint, and they're both in Cadillacs.
That's true.
So maybe it's just because those two, they're on the same team, whether it's something they're doing or whether it's the manufacturer, I don't know. But that was the only manufacturer able to do that kind of distance.
I mean, that's a valid point. You've made that's a solid point for sure. That's a good question.
Work out really when there's such flexibility in what they can actually do on fuel, and so little point actually. If you just accept that everyone's going to make a 2-stop race, which I think I'm still going to say is what's going to happen here, there's really very little point in going as far as they had, and so. Yeah, it's very hard to tell, actually, the fuel consumption of these cars because as I say, there's really no point testing what the fuel mileage actually is and how far they can actually go.
I mean, if you wanted to argue the point, you could argue the point that the extra laps that you do on low fuel potentially could be faster than you would laps on heavy fuel. So, especially since you've got good grippy tires, and when you put the heavy load of fuel on, you're going to have new tires, which is going to make you even slower. In theory, you could, by running an extra couple of laps on light fuel, you could make up some potential tenths to a full second, maybe, there. That would be one argument, I guess. Obviously, the other argument is the longer you go, in theory, if you were able to stretch it, the less fuel you got to take on the last stop, which also could get you out of the pits quicker. I mean, that'd be the, you know, counter argument to what you're saying, I guess. I guess the big one being light fuel and grippy tires versus a fuller fuel load and slick cold tires.
I think what I would have done for this race, to be honest, would have been run, even though this slightly contradicts what I was just saying, would have run that first tank as far as possible. You know, don't overly fuel save because you're never going to make it on one stop, but, you know, at least take that first stint as far as possible. Take your only tyre change of the race, I would, at the first stop, but only fuel for the amount of time that it takes to do your tyres. If you see what I mean. So that's about, I think that's about 50 litres in a GTP car. I've only tested the Cadillac, but I presume they're all the same. 50 litres of fuel. You can put 50 litres in. That should take you about 2/3 of the way through, so maybe 20 laps, if that get you to about lap 50, and then you'd have another 20 laps of fuel to put in also, and then just do that with no tyres in the final stint of the race. Or indeed, if there's enough fuel to put in, then change tyres again, I suppose. There's no disadvantage to doing that. But I think just, you know, try and spread the lightness of the car around and try and spend as little time on high fuel as possible, because I think these cars are really quite laboured at 88 litres or whatever the full tank size for all the cars. I know for the Cadillacs around there. I think it feels really laboured at that kind of weight. And if you can try and you know, after the point of about lap 10 in the race, if you can try and keep the fuel load down below 50 litres or odd, or whatever it is, you know, throughout the remainder of the race for the next hour and a half, I think that actually gives you quite a big advantage.
I agree, which was kind of to the point that I was speaking to, but not as well thought out as yours there. Yeah, I mean, because clearly these cars respond better on light fuel and tires that are not cold. So the principle there, you would only ever have one set of cold tires on the car, and it would not be under a full heavy fuel load, as heavy as it could be fuel load at the time. Which I think if you ran that whole stint your way and then what would be considered a normal way, I think that you would definitely find out that your way was faster. I would 100% agree that over the course of 2 hours, doing the difference those two ways, I think you would find that your way is significantly faster. Several seconds.
Having said that, you know, that is all on paper, but, you know, having said that, it's all situational as well, because you've got to look around you at what's actually happening in the race as well. And you know, there's no point in doing something like that. You know, if I was Steve, to be honest, in that situation, I don't know if I would have stuck around behind Notvin and Beaver for so long in that first stint, to be honest. You know, you look at the speed you've got, you know that you're quicker, and we're seeing that right now. He is genuinely a lot quicker than everybody else in the field. You look around, and at that point, I would have been thinking definitely come into the pit lane. Admittedly, that does run you the risk of coming out in traffic, but remember that these races are very much situational as well. And if you find yourself in a situation like Steve, I think Steve was earlier, conventional wisdom certainly says that you should to pit lane maybe a little bit early, try and do something a little bit different, change things up a little bit in this race. Maybe take your short fuel first and then pit on that, as Notvin's doing right now, pit on lap 41 or so and go to the end of the race. I like this call from him at the moment.
Oh.
There's 29 laps to go in the season. He's not quicker than Steve right now, so let's pit in, do something different to try and get ahead of him later on in the day.
All right, well, I got to see if he's going to take tires here. I would think that he probably is not.
No,
he is not.
I wouldn't have thought so.
He's not. Okay, so that is interesting. So Beaver, who pitted first, now Nodovan has turned around and short pitted him for the end of the race. And who is that coming up behind him there? That's going to be...
Ammerman, I think.
Is it Ammerman? No, huh?
Yeah, it looks like that battle we were just following between the two
is.
of them.
Okay.
But because he's
All
in
right.
warm tyres,
Yeah.
Notovin should be fine to hold on this time.
Yeah, he should be, yeah. All he did was just add some weight to it. Yeah, he should be fine. Which, again, you got good grippy tires on when you put the fuel in, when you got a load of fuel. So that's a good thing.
Yep. So, yeah, he's split that quite nicely across the 2 tyre sets over the course of the race. 56 minutes on the first set. He'll do just over an hour and 4 on this second set. And don't forget, as we continue on in this race, the track's only getting cooler, even though the track temperature has never been particularly sky high here today anyway.
No.
The track is only getting cooler as we get deeper into the afternoon. We are getting up towards 6 o'clock now in Sim, actually. Sorry, just past 5:30. There you go. On today's date, 73 Fahrenheit is very nice track temperature.
Yes.
That's not too warm at all.
No, that's not bad at all. That's don't ask me to figure it out, but it's that's probably about 21, 22 degrees Celsius, maybe something like that.
Low 20s, I'd say.
Yeah, which I'm I'm learning. Before, if you'd asked me, one of the very first races I ever broadcast, I had no clue. Right, no clue. And the track temperature was 18 degrees Celsius. And I had no idea what the conversion was. And so right in the commentary, I'm stuck and I go, with the track temperatures as hot as they are today, whoever I was commentating with goes, well, actually 18 degrees is pretty cool. It was so embarrassing.
It's very difficult to work out the conversion, and to be honest, I think Fahrenheit's a completely ridiculous scale. But
whatever.
But anyway,
they taught it to me when I was a boy. Okay, I like it.
It's one of those things that is just never going to change because there's never going to be a time when we can begin the Earth again to teach people the same across the world.
I don't necessarily know that we need to go back to the creation of Earth. I think we probably could step back a little closer in time than that and fix the problem.
You know what I mean? Can you imagine to reteach everybody? I mean, Jesus.
Well, I mean, so at some point in time, they tried that. When I was like a kid. They tried to bring the metric system hard in and get us to start using all of that, and it just never took, But, I mean, when it had to happen, obviously, since the 17 or 1800s, because you had all the people coming over from Europe. So at some point in time, after they came to America, they adopted the other system. So at some point in time, after they started populating the Americas is when they would have switched, So, I mean, I don't know, but just a thought there.
We're kind of still living in a half and half here in the UK.
Oh, are you? Yeah. I mean,
we take some of some metric, some imperial.
I didn't know that.
Sometimes both.
So was Imperial the original then?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Just reading up on it now. Apparently, it was.
See, knowledge at your fingertips.
This is good. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's too much to read. I'm not reading all that. But anyway, it's yes. I mean, my grandparents' generation, for example, people who were born just after the war, etc., will remember the switch, if you like, from imperial to metric. It didn't happen that long ago in the grand scheme of things. Right.
Okay. All right. So y'all are the oddballs then. Y'all switch.
But then again, I think we're even more weird because we do use miles, and
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
But you use kilometers. You use kilometers. Yeah. Well, stone and pounds. Yeah.
Is that imperial as well? We use that for if you're weighing yourself, but not if you're weighing objects. Then you'd use kilograms.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, well, okay, y'all. So definitely y'all then for sure.
You'd say I weigh this amount of stone, but you'd say that box over there weighs 10 kilograms or whatever.
Oh, that's interesting.
I
wonder how many stone I weigh. It's got to be quite a few.
I don't know what I don't look at myself in stone to ask. I've got kilograms instead. It's all the Europeans use it. It's much easier. Oh yeah, and we use foot and inches for height.
Oh, y'all are weird.
We're not very metric at all, are we?
No, you're not really. You just want to screw the temperature up for people and the speed.
Just use Celsius. Yeah. Well, that's about it. As it goes.
Well, kilometers per hour.
We don't use that. We use miles an hour.
You do? Oh. Well, why, when you switch over... Okay, that's even weirder.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, y'all are strange. How much can I give you that?
But yeah, we use centimeters and meters, not inches.
Right, I knew that. Yeah. That's strange.
We just take what we want and just
You do.
and leave the rest.
You
So,
talk about Americans being arrogant. It's the other way
arrogant.
around.
I didn't say that.
Well, a lot of people do. You know, they're Americans are so arrogant to think they can, do this or do that or whatever. But in reality, y'all are the ones doing it. We just stuck to the old system.
I don't know if anyone's ever been called arrogant for using miles an hour, but anyway, yes,
Well,
we duck and dive and dipping in and out a little bit, but and that does now I think about it, make us a little bit strange. But
that is
I think we should go full metric, in my opinion. But as I say, that would take a lot of change. Anyway, we've got very off track from this low track temperature we were talking about before we. Well, it was me who started actually talking about Fahrenheit, so I'll apologise for that. But anyway,
it's the podcast time of an endurance race. It happens every time. There's no way, unless we have 40 cars on track, that there's enough action to talk about the entire 2 hours. There's going to be time where they're all just spread out and doing their thing. But I have noticed one thing. Nodovan is only 8.5 seconds roughly behind Beaver. And Beaver's going to have to pit. So he is going to be quite a distance back behind Nodovan. Now, again, it doesn't matter how far he is back. It matters how many people are in between the two of them. And it really matters that Nodovan can close up that 40-something second gap he's got to, or whatever the gap is to the leader for him. No, it's not 40-something seconds, is it? 20, 30? Yeah, it is about 40-something. Yeah, because he really needs to get back in first place. The difference in first and second points, he needs those extra points here. At this point, he needs every point he can get.
Yep. I was just thinking about this earlier, actually. If we're going to assume that, and you should never assume at this stage in a race because there's still 40 minutes to go with a lot that can happen. But and I'm going to give him a trophy already. If Steve goes on and wins this race, then Notvin can still have a realistic chance of winning the title. It's not all over for him by any means, although he does need to take the fastest lap, which could be quite tricky. He would only need Beaver to finish in 4th place or worse, which would be a lot more achievable. But if it's 4th place, then Notvin does need the fastest lap, which I don't think he has at the moment.
Yeah, he does.
If I'm not mistaken. He does he? Okay.
Yeah,
I thought Steve had taken
40.30. No, Steve has got a 40.37. So by 7/100ths, Nodovan is still out front. That doesn't mean when these cars get on light fuel loads towards the end of the race that won't change.
Yeah, absolutely. And Steve's going to have longer at lighter fuel load as well, because if he runs this tank dry out to lap 62 or whatever, he'll be quite low on fuel from about lap 55 onwards. Then he'll only have 8 laps of fuel on board for the rest of the race after that as well.
Right.
I know the tyres will be quite old by that point, but the fuel does make a big difference.
If he changes tyres, which he probably won't do, but no, he won't change tires.
Not at time.
No, he wouldn't change tires.
I think that would be pushing it a little bit, really. And Steve, I wouldn't imagine, is very interested in the fastest lap. To be honest, he's not the one involved in a championship fight after all.
Nah, at this point, he just wants 2 back-to-back wins closing out the season. I'm sure.
Yeah, that would be great to see for him. Oh dear!
There it is.
Beaver! Oh my goodness! Beaver's off through the final corner, and he's come back to the pit lane here. I said that it was still possible and it was still alive for Notovin, and it very much is now. Beaver has dropped back to pit lane, and for the second round in a row,
no, it's a
disaster for the championship leader. Wow!
He slid off entering pit lane.
Oh my goodness.
He slid off. He was pitting, and he slid off entering pit lane.
Can you believe it?
Look at this. He was just
going. Oh.
Talk about losing your concentration, huh? He relaxed for that second. Now I'm going into pits, and look what happened. Holy
me.
cow. Oh my goodness. Let's go look at this real quick, but I don't, this is probably going to be a very similar thing that we've seen earlier today already. I don't even know what to say at this point.
Unbelievable.
I got to go back and look at it. I don't mean to drive home a point, but different angle here just to. So he's entering pit lane, and he just. Oh my gosh! But I don't understand why he towed right there.
Because I think he may have seen it, that he got damage and thought, because that's such a short tow to get into pit lane from there, he would have thought, actually, me reversing and doing all of that to get out the grass might actually be slower than me just towing here.
All right, so he should be coming back on track here.
Yep, 7th, there he is. That's really not costing him very much time at all. However, he has got an unbelievable job at his hands now in the next 40 minutes. So what he needs now is Notovin to lose the fastest lap, first of all, and that would bring 4th into play. Otherwise, he's hoping Notovin loses places. That's a big wiggle, my word. He can't afford another incident, absolutely not. But what he's got to do is get past Ammerman, Nicoletta and Urko. Nicoletta won't be too difficult because teammates will give that one up if he really needs to. But there are 2 other passes that he'll have to legitimately make there in the next 40 minutes. And then hope that Steve, or even he himself, actually, Beaver, could take the fastest lap points away from Notovin as well. And maybe even better for him if he can take those points away. It might be a little bit... better situation for him. If he can take those points away, then it would be, well, close, let's put it that way. I'm not sure which way it would go. I don't think that would be enough. So, yeah, 4th place or nothing, I think it is for Beaver here.
So I'm looking at there's only one person ahead of him besides Notovin, of course, who's made their 2nd pit stop. So when it all shakes out, he's going to, yeah, exactly. It's the guy right in front of him. He's actually going to, he's going to recover several of these spots. Several.
But if he's not going to get past Ammerman, he might not as well get past anybody. That's a big gap that he's got across there.
Well, we shall see. There should start, well, we'll see. All right, I'm going to stay. So where's Nicolator? I'm going to... Beaver, he's got a big gap there still, so... I'm gonna put you on the leader here for a second, and I am...
Well, this is Steve out in front. Yeah, we'll keep and have a look at the leader for the moment. 36 seconds for Simply Steve. 35 minutes still to go in this race. Good evening to everybody watching along at home once again to this final round of the J2iCS Endurance Series. Crown Jewel race here from Twin Motegi. And what drama we have just seen. Beaver with a championship in his hands so far throughout a lot of the afternoon. Had 2 pit stops and both of them have gone a little bit wrong in different ways. The latest, though, the worst of them, slid straight into the tyre barrier and has had to take a tow back to pit lane. He's now 7th, crucially 37 seconds behind Gavin Owen, who will get past Nicoletta. And he has got a lot of work to do there, Beaver, to get past not only Nicoletta, although he should manage that, but also get past Urko, but I think most importantly to get past the likes of Amman in just 35 minutes. He's effectively got to gain 1 second per minute in this race, which is about 1.6 seconds a lap or so. That is a real big gap to close, and he's going to have to be in the 140s for most of the race, I would say, unless Gavin Amman makes a mistake, which he might have just done, actually. Off into the gravel that someone's brought onto gravel there. You can see all the dust. And I think that was Gavin Amman, actually. So there's an extra couple of 3 seconds for Eva, who, as I say, needs about 2 seconds a lap, actually, closer to 2 seconds a lap than it is to 1.6. It's going to be a very tall order, I would say, this afternoon. Goodness me, what drama we've seen. You think back to 2 weeks ago at Sebring, Beaver had a a technical failure with his wheel. Now, unfortunately, just a self-made error there on the brakes before the pit lane entry. Unbelievable drama to the end of this season here.
Yeah, who'd thought? I mean, I guess, again, I'm not happy when anything happens to any of these guys. I feel bad for all of them every time, but it's certainly bringing us right down to the end. It's literally gonna come down to all these guys making pit stops and seeing how it all shakes out in the end. It's gonna be very exciting.
Steve just in behind Bozak here, by the way. Now that looks like Notvin, but it isn't. It's Bozak who just pulls to the the right-hand side there of the road, left-hand side as we look at it. And that's the race leader through. That's Bozak going 2 laps down, by the way. Gamman and Nicoletta are battling just in front of Steve now, about to go 1 lap down. We've only got 6 drivers still on the lead lap around here, such as the attritional nature of this race. We are now, would you believe it, just over 2 minutes away from the end of a normal race. But I've got to say, the last hour and a half has absolutely flown by. And
Really
we've got just over half an hour to go.
Yeah, it has flown by, hasn't it? Well, we've, so many conspiracy theories, strategy theories that we're talking about, that it really does fly. I can't help but, marvel at Steve's pace late in the season. I know you joined us mid-season as your schedule opened up, but all season. He was, like I said, he was quick, and he was in the mix and things like that. But it wasn't very often that you thought of him as like he could legitimately win this race. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden he's found that kind of pace with these guys, and it's really exciting because it's nice to see another guy get up there at that level, with them. And it only speaks for how much better the series is going to be when they come back with whatever cars they're running and stuff. He's really improved. I don't know how much work he's put in, if he's doing anything specific, but man, he has really, really improved. It's so fun to see. He's a great guy too, so that's pretty cool.
I wonder whether you can pull up the championship standings again here just to show this and just how close he's getting towards the top now, because he is a legitimate contender for a top 3 finish this season based on where everybody is in this race right now. Steve is currently what's that? He's on at 169, 12 points behind Bozak. Get past him. He's only 1 point behind Nicoletta, who will certainly get past as well here. So he's on the road. He is currently 3rd place in the championship. And actually, when you look at the points even to the leaders, he's only, 47 off of Beaver and a little bit less off of Notovin. No, he's going to end the season at only about 30 points off the overall championship. I think he's going to end the season, if he wins here tonight, a comfortable 3rd.
Oh, yeah, comfortable 3rd. Yeah, comfortable 3rd. And depending on what happens with Notovin and Beaver, not horribly far behind. If he would have, if he'd have found this pace a couple of races earlier in the season, we might be having a 3-way conversation right now instead of 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you've got to remember that the Sprint Series champion Squilliam not here either here tonight. So.
Yeah, he's only made like three or 4 races this season, I think. Apparently, this must not be his groove, doing these cars.
Yeah, 4 races.
Yeah,
he's only been top 5 in 2 of those. So yeah, maybe not his thing quite. These cars, not sure.
Well, these cars, if you weren't already into them, when they made that tire change, these things got really hard to drive. They were pretty easy to drive before that. Evidence is that I was reasonably quick in them at one time, so they must have been easy to drive. But when they changed those tires out, that changed everything. And which, don't get me wrong, I think it's for the better, and I think it's realistic because these cars are beasts on cold tires in real life. They're tough.
Yeah.
So that's great. Yeah, I watch WEC and IMSA stuff all the time. Yeah. And these cars are, they're tough on cold tires. And I love the fact that they're bringing that to the, I guess that was a good luck or something. I
I don't know.
flashing away.
Bizarre.
But I love the fact that they're bringing that to the GT3s, because if I'm being honest, the GT3s are too easy to drive. They, with the ABS and the traction control, it's like you just turn the traction control up and ABS, and you can just stomp the brakes and you can just hammer the throttle, and it's really hard to lose the car, and so you can be a very average driver and be reasonably quick in those cars right now. And that's, I think, fixing to change, just like it changed for these cars. Average drivers used to be fast in these. It's not the case anymore. Even when the tires are warmed up, it's still tougher car to drive than it used to be. So I like what they did here, even though it didn't benefit me. I went and bought the Ferrari thinking I was going to be a GTP racer, and then they changed the tire model on me.
I think it's a good thing as well, in terms of you see it in the real top guys racing as well. In the special events or whatever that are used, that use the GTPs, I should say. The room for error is so fine that even those guys can make errors in this update, and I think that's a fantastic thing. The more unpredictability you can bring to, especially the top level sim racing, when the guys are so good, then the better, really. The more drama you can have, and the better racing you can have. But that's in those longer events. This is an entirely different form of long event here. It's still 27 minutes to go, and Steve in a bit of traffic here.
How many times have you heard a real race car driver say, especially in NASCAR, they talk about, oh, the track is really slick, and they love that because it gives them multiple areas to run on the track. When the cars are more difficult to drive, it makes for better racing. When the cars just stick like glue, it's not as much fun. It becomes a one groove situation and all of that, because you got to run the fastest line, and so I think that holds true. And I love to see that they're trying to level out some of these cars like that. I think it's really cool. And the sports cars are so popular on iRacing right now. GT3s are insane. Like, you'll hardly be getting any kind of splits in other races. Then you get the GT3, whatever the GT3s are running. If they're running a popular track and there's no rain, you'll have 9, 10, 12 splits on just an average everyday race, Yep. And so
they're very popular.
That's great for that's great for iRacing, and it's great for, for us.
Yeah, great for us racing, certainly. In the background, GTP racing, Nicolator versus Gavin Amman here. And Nicolator has got to do a job for his teammate right now. You mentioned earlier that he needs to stop again, but Amman doesn't, and Beaver needs to pass him before the end of the race, and that is not going to help. Nicolator goes for a slide. Amman nearly followed him into the gravel there, but that did not last very long, that defence there, and Nicolator is off into the gravel.
Oh, my God. Did you actually hit the brake for him, or was it just what you said? Couldn't have been more commentator curse right there.
I know, yeah.
Oh, it's like you reached out and hit the brake for him at the same time. You commentator cursed him so bad. That's funny.
Won't be pleased with me.
No, that was bad. All right, so let's see. We've had some more pit stops, though, right? No. Donovan. No, the only two still. Okay, Ammerman. Okay, no, we're still. Everybody ahead of Beaver's still the same pit stop cycle. I'm just dying to see how this thing's all going to shake out once these pit stops come and go.
I think what it's going to show is that Beaver is a very long way away from the fourth place that he really needs it in this race, and rather like what he was 2 weeks ago at Sebring. He's rather relying on Notvin having some bad luck go his way, same way as to what happened 2 weeks ago.
Let's see here. All right, so I'm going to go over here and do it because I'm close to special. So let me just help myself out here. Put gap on this one. Okay. Oh, it's going to show him as a lap down. It's not going to give me a time. I was trying to see how far Beaver was behind Nodovan, but or behind the leader, but it's not going to show that because it's just showing him a lap down.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get it. Just trying to get. I'm just trying to do the maths, just to see. But, because what I do want is, I want it to be hopefully relatively close, where where Beaver has a chance to still win this championship, and it didn't just get all thrown away, on for lack of a better term, the dumbest of mistakes that's just, he literally let his guard down entering the pits and it bit him. That's horrible. I hate to see that.
I think, it would be a shame to see, but at the moment that is looking like the most likely outcome as it stands. Notovin has just got to keep it on the road from this point. Springflower has not been into the pit lane yet, so 21 seconds is a reduced margin compared to what it will be before. I still think Stevie's going to go on and win this race, and we're going to find out in 4 laps where he's going to come out after his pit stop, because in 4 laps time I don't think anybody's going to be able to go any further actually, and they'll be pretty forced to come into the pit lane for their final stops of the season.
Well, I mean, when Steve pits, I mean, he's coming out behind Notovin for sure. 100%. Yeah, he's only 38 seconds ahead of him, and I mean,
he's stopped for about 10 seconds.
Yeah, but what's the whole pit lot? Okay, so when Notovin did his little splash and go there it was 36 seconds. So it's actually going to be really close, I guess. I guess it depends on how much fuel Steve has to take, and how quickly he negotiates the on and off part of pit road. So it's actually going to be really close, but he's gonna have a light fuel load and also fresh tires. Oh no, he's not going to have fresh tires. Never mind. So he's going to have older tires than Notovin. Not much older. But.
Yeah. A couple of laps.
Three laps or so. Yeah.
Yeah, both of their second stops will have been without tyre changes.
Right.
The thing for Steve is that he's on lower fuel right now, and then he'll only come out and be on the same fuel as Notovin, so that there'll be no gain for him. I'm fairly confident that Steve will come out in front unless there's a pretty big mistake here, because I'm going to guess that only 10 seconds of fuel or so is what's needed for Steve. He might put an extra second or two in there for a bit of insurance, but I think, if you start to real ball this down, 10 seconds stopped, that's 20 seconds to lose coming through the pit lane. I don't even think it takes 27 seconds to drive through the pit lane, never mind losing 27 seconds. So I think he'll be fine.
Well, we'll see. I wish he'd get on with it, because I'm ready to see. The suspense is killing me here.
Well, he's about halfway around 59, so 3 laps time.
I was not a patient kid. I was the one that shook the Christmas presents. You know what I mean? I want to know. Oh, that's a true story too, by the way.
I was not doing that. I don't really like Christmas. There you go.
Oh gosh, of course. I'm not even going to delve into that. Okay, that's your own psychologist you need to talk to about that. I'm not going to fix that problem for you. I did get caught one year though. I thought I was we'll just say it. I thought I was a smart ass, and I was asking my mom something about Christmas or something, and she says, you don't know what Santa's going to bring you. And I said, well, I do know what Santa's going to bring me. And I rattled off all the big gifts because I had found them, right? And she returned every one of them. And about 4 of them were things that I really wanted. She returned every one of them and got different gifts. And I was not near as excited about the newer gifts. And I learned my lesson, sort of.
Wow.
But I still shook the presents.
Yeah, I was going to say, not that much then.
Right. I never probably owned up to finding them after that.
Just became more sneaky afterwards.
Yes. Well, she probably changed the hiding spot too. That's all a true story too. So what happened to Eat My Dust here? Let's see. Why did he jump to the pits?
He's never been in this race other than right now, which is very puzzling to me.
Okay, so
I don't know why.
He's just here celebrating with the boys at the last race and didn't feel like racing, I guess.
He's been in Discord chat the whole night.
Hey,
so
He might be, he might be just having fun. He might be doing race control for all we know. Who knows,
Yeah, who knows? Bozak has just got past Jason Winucki. That is an extra point, by the way, for him and the team.
That might be
33.
Important. Here, let's go back.
Might be important. I was going to say, less than 20 minutes left. Oh, a nice pass as well. Ducking and diving on the way towards turn 9. I'll do the maths in a moment as to who's going to win this championship, because I think it's got a bit complicated in the last few moments, I've got to say, after Beaver's incident. He's looking very comfortable, actually, Beaver, to take the title for Nick Squared alongside Nicoletta, but actually after his mistake it's got a lot more difficult to figure out here, so I will do the maths on that in a moment. But Notovin at the moment is doing the heavy lifting, I think it's fair to say. He's the only one of those really for night racing having a very good day, only one out of the 4 in the team's championship having a very good day actually, and I think he's still got all 4 bonus points to go alongside the 48 points for second place.
The funny thing about Bozak, he's had speed all season. I just think he runs into some difficulty, being consistent and not making some little unforced error or some big unforced error, which is extremely identifiable for like me. You can turn a decent lap, or, you can be quick, but over the course of it, you just make that one or two mistakes, and the results don't end up that well because of it. That seems to be kind of his story all season. He's been reasonably quick, but I mean, this is all a learning process, and every one of those little mistakes you make is hopefully you don't repeat them. Obviously, we've seen some pretty big guys make some mistakes as well.
Yeah, sorry, I was being quiet because I was doing maths. Notovin and Bozak would be teams champions as things stand, as Notovin would be drivers champion as well for night racing. They're scoring 85 tonight as it stands. Nick Squared only scoring 74. So that would be a championship for night racing. As I mentioned earlier, I think whoever wins the team's championship, whoever wins the drivers is going to be on the winning team as well. I think there's a very unlikely scenario in which the drivers champion is not on the winning team as well, much like what we saw in the sprint series.
Yes, I would agree with that, but I think it's probably closer that it could go the other way here, but maybe not, because the gap for the drivers championship to win the drivers championship is going to cover you for a good bit of points that maybe your partner in the team did not make up, Because
I should mention actually that there's still pit stops to go, aren't there? So that's not quite final yet.
No, not at all. That's to be honest, I'm surprised you started doing the math already. But I tell you what, I wish they would get on with these daggum pit stops. I'm ready. We can't.
I don't think we can go any further than this lap. Actually, I think Steve has got to be in this lap.
I mean, it's got to be soon. He pitted on 31, so this is going to put him going 33, or he's on 30. He's on 31 right now for this stint. This will
be the end of 31 if he comes in this lap here. So let's see into the final corners.
There he goes.
Is in. Now, get on the brakes early enough. There you go. Make sure you get around that barrier there, because we've seen that possibly decided championship here tonight.
Okay, so it's hard to tell how quick he got in there and got to speed. Oh, look, there's his teammate. His car just parked in the pits. Maybe he was there for support.
So, how long is this stop going to be? Not up on the jacks. We weren't expecting to see him.
No, he's already at 12 seconds. 14.
Okay.
He took a lot of fuel there.
Did more than I was expecting, that's for sure.
Seconds.
So that'll be over 10 laps. There goes Jason Winucki in the background, Notovin coming out the final corner, but he's not in front of Steve, who, as I say, is going to be on warm tyres. He's not going to have a huge gap at all, but he is going to be in the lead.
Wow. I did not expect it to be. I did not expect it to be that far.
And there's Springflower into the pit lane as well. You'd expect to see Urko in, and it's going to be pretty close, I think, between Beaver and Urko, I would say. Although he really needs to be ahead of Springflower as well as Gavin Ammerman, and this is just not happening at the moment for Beaver. He is stuck well over 30 seconds behind where he needs to be, unfortunately, in this race. So the only thing he can hope to do now is try and rescue the positions and the points he needs for the team's championship, but his teammate hasn't even made his final stop of the season yet.
No, Urko's on his way out now. I mean, Springflower. Springflower, I'm sorry. I get confused very easily.
Saying out. Surprise as well. Springflower, yes, out the pit lane into 4th place, and very comfortably so as well.
Very comfortably so, yeah. Very comfortably so. He's got a 13-second lead over Ammerman as he comes back up to speed. And, yeah, wow. Oof, this is it's not looking good for Nick Beaver at all, man. This is
no.
Wow. You do the math better than I do, because I really did think that Nodovan was gonna come out a little closer to Steve than he did.
This is closer than I thought it was going to be. So,
well, he did take a longer pit stop. You were counting on a 10-second pit stop, and it turned out it was almost 15 seconds. So, to be fair, you were right on the money. I missed it by a mile.
Steve is going to be able to do an extra 3 laps after this race if he wants to. I think he's got a lot of spare fuel in that car.
Not sure whether that benefits you, but I guess you can take an extra victory lap if you would like.
Certainly have enough fuel for donuts if he's afforded the ability at the end of the day with the race victory this afternoon. We'll see if he makes it all the way there. Best lap time, 1:40.3. I think it's not even now lost the fastest lap actually. Steve.
1:40.29 by a hundredth of a second.
In the race.
Yes, that is very quick in the race.
That's
what did they qualify on?
I think that 39.8. I think it was. So not quite there yet.
No, but that's still fast.
We are in a race.
Yeah, I mean that's on perfect tires and a low fuel load, you know.
Yeah.
And
one or the other here.
And a qualifying setup as well. So, you know.
Hang on. Nicolator just missed the pit lane almost there as well, or was that just on our graphics there? He seemed to pop in and out the pit lane very strangely there as he comes into the pit lane for the final time this season. And I think, other than Urko, is the last driver to come in. Let's just have a look at this. I think he might have missed the pit lane as well here.
Oh my gosh! Same thing, except he just was able to miss the tire barrier.
Goodness.
Oh, let me go to the other view from that one.
Both managed it.
Apparently it's in their water. Who knew?
It's in the DNA of that team somewhere. That is unbelievable.
I mean, exactly the same thing. He was just angled a little more. Oh, he almost. Oh, my goodness.
I mean, it makes you wonder how Beaver couldn't have just worked out a way to do that rather than go straight on into the tire wall, to be honest.
It would have made
a bit harsh.
It would have made a heck of a difference for him. You know, not that this matters with, let's see, why don't I go back to live? With 10 minutes to go, Nodovan has cut 2 seconds off Steve's lap since the pit stops.
Hey, he's driving well.
I don't know that that's enough time. That's a lot of seconds to make up in, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but
still needs over a second a lap here. If we're still going with 70 laps in this race, which I think I'm still going to go with, then he needs well over a second a lap. He needs 1.2 seconds to be there by the last lap, and he needs more than that if he wants to be there with some time before the finish. And how would you know? Beaver is straight in behind him as well here. You can tell these two championship rivals have been running super close all season long. They've been at each other's heels all season long, but it's just going to be coming up short here for Beaver. He's only going to score, by the looks of things, 38 points from this race. Nottingham going to score 50 from this round, and that is going to give him the championship lead by 3 points as things stand. One position for Beaver would get him to just an extra point, actually, so it'd be 2 points behind. Then another position after that would get him to 4th place, and that would be enough for him. But at the moment, Ammerman, who is in that 4th place, is still over 30 seconds in front of him.
Yeah, Urko would be the next one who just came out of the pits. So Urko is here, which if we go to the blimp shot, that's not going to give me much. I was hoping for a little better angle. To see if we could see Beaver, who's basically 15 seconds behind him. That's a pretty big gap. And then he's got another 16 seconds after he gets by Urko to catch Ammerman, assuming nobody makes any mistakes.
Big assumption around this circuit.
Yeah, I mean, look, at any point in time, this whole circuit can jump up and bite you, although it seems to, knock on wood, which I don't have any nearby, it seems to be that the amount of incidents have dropped off significantly as they've gotten a lot of laps in on this track. You know, I mean, at this point, they've got an extra 67 laps in on this track than the start of the race, and that certainly makes a difference.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, because this, you know, but then, I mean, but if you'd asked me where I thought Beaver would throw away the race, so to speak, I certainly would not have thought it would have been where it happened at. Of all places, I would have never thought it was going to happen into the tire barrier on the entrance road to pit lane.
To be honest, I didn't even know that tire wall was there.
No, right up till he hit it.
Yeah, exactly. And it just looking at his teammate managed to avoid it there. It just makes you play that back in your mind and wonder, was there anything that Beaver could have done there to have not done that? And, you know, was it worth towing in the end? Did that cost him more time than it really should have done? You know, all these things start to replay through your head, really, and goodness knows how he's feeling at the moment after that.
Oh, obviously, yeah. I mean, you got to be tore up, and to be honest, it's surprising that he was able to gather it back up and not have another incident. You know what I mean? Driving angry and, you know, pissed off at yourself because you just did that, and, you know, all of those things. Because, you know, there's probably not much worse feeling in the world than coming in with a reasonably decent championship lead and having it go like that. You know, that's it's one thing if the guy beats you on the track and you just didn't have the pace or whatever, but to know that it was yours and, you know, you just let it slip through your fingers. I mean, it happens. You know, it happened to Donovan in the other cars, you know, in the F3s.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm sure Donovan learned from that, you know, and he probably has, you know, modified his strategy and the way he approached these last couple of races because of that.
Yeah, it's all going to be a learning curve for Beaver, unfortunately. He's been up there all season long in the Endurance Series this time round, and there was a long time tonight actually, where he was just winning this race in this season on a tiebreaker, to finishing in second place more often than not have been. That's how close this season has been. So that one mistake has been the difference here.
Let's just hope that Beaver's favorite driver was not Dale Earnhardt Sr. Because Dale Earnhardt Sr. in this spot right here for a championship, let's just say that if you were Donovan, you would just let Beaver get on by you, because Earnhardt would have spun somebody here to win the championship, guaranteed.
Oh, I see.
100%. You know, and you know, the question is that real racing? Is it not? You know, I don't. You know, that's another argument for another day. But you know, if I'm Donovan, just to avoid any potential accident, oops, you know, I missed my braking point and bumped you from behind, you know, I probably would just let him go here. I
can understand that, yeah, because
it could happen. I mean, he could easily,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, you're taking it a little cautious, you know, because you know you've got the championship in your hand, and next thing you know, Beaver swings it in there a little deep and punch you, and
Yeah, I mean, even by mistake, it doesn't have to
absolutely.
be a intentional wreck.
Doesn't have to be intentional at all. It could happen. Like I said, at this point, I wouldn't want him that close to me, behind me, just in case,
I can understand that, and that was Ryan Schwab, by the way, just trying to stay out of the way as well. Very nearly making contact with them, but they both well out of the way nicely. This is the only kind of pressure that Beaver can really exert here. We are going to get a 71 lap race here, by the way. The second half of this race has been a little bit quicker, and we are going to get an extra lap in, so it's not going to be white flag next time by. We're going to get 2 to go next time by for Simply Steve, who's just making his way into the final sector now around the hairpin at turn 10.
Yeah, we are gonna get another one, aren't we? It's gonna be close though, isn't it? No, not really. Let's see, where is he? Okay, he's just blazing along right there, doing his thing. I can't.
Cross the line again with about 30 seconds left on the last lap.
Yeah, I can't. I still can't say enough about the performance that he has shown in these last few weeks. So happy to see that out of him. I've joked and played around with him all season because of that livery. I love that livery with the popsicle on it and all that stuff. And just I've had fun with him all year. And it's really great to see him, showing this speed. It's just wonderful.
Yep. It's been a great last couple of weeks for Steve. He's got the most points out of anybody out the last 2 rounds of this season. 2 race wins in a row, and who knows what momentum that can give him going into the next part of the season. But we are close to having 2 hours elapsed now. The white flag is going to be out for Steve in the next lap, and I've got to say this race has really quite flown by for a 2-hour endurance race, a crown jewel race of this J2iCS endurance season. And as I say, it's flown by pretty quickly here tonight.
It has. We've had our fair share of drama along the way, which kind of helped it. It never really had too much of a lag period, other than our 10-minute rant down the metric and imperial argument. But other than that, it's been action all the way around tonight. Good action, especially from an 11, well, really a 10-car field, because Eat My Dust really was never out there. Typically 10 cars can get boring sometimes, and it did not. We've had something to talk about all night, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's been good in that respect. Very good to watch. As Simply Steve comes over the line, just about 25 seconds left, 30 seconds or so remaining in the season. The white flag will wave. They'll get an extra lap in, 71 laps in this race. Hopefully everybody's got the fuel to get there. It is going to be almost cemented for Nottavin already, actually, because there's so many a lap down. But there you go, Beaver trailing Nottavin right now to the end.
Wouldn't that be crazy if, like, 2 guys in between them ran out of fuel and Beaver jumped up to 4th?
It would be implausible.
Would it be?
I would say so. I mean, maybe not in the context of this season. It's been very dramatic.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, every time that we've handed a trophy out, it's been jerked back.
Yeah. I mean, 2 weeks ago at Sebring, it was scarcely believable what we saw between Beaver and Nottavin that week. But again here, just so much drama, especially in these last 2 weeks, so much drama in this season. Goodness me.
Yes. But good drama. I mean, not anything like, oh my God, he wrecked him, or his teammate wrecked him, or, that stupid stuff, just good racing drama, shit happens. It's racing. Whoops. Sorry about that. Didn't mean, apologize.
Then he got for a whole season.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I went a whole season without saying anything. And then I dropped that right here at the end. Oh, well.
Be relaxed. Anyway, never mind. Just over 2 hours gone, and that means the checker flag is being readied. What an end to the season Simply Steve has had, and it's going to be 2 wins out of 2. Sebring 2 weeks ago, And this week, the crown jewel race at Motegi. Simply Steve closes out the season with another win and he'll rocket up to third in the championship. But it's all behind Nodovin, who comes out the final corner right now to come across the line in second, 4 seconds off the leader. And with Beaver crossing the line with him in sixth, Nodovin is the J2iCS Endurance Series champion in season 10. What an end to this championship as he took the pole position, the couple of points that came with that. He put the pressure on Beaver, who was in a provisionally championship winning position for pretty much all of this afternoon. That one mistake on the way into pit lane has cost him a title, and it's handed it to Nodovin, who puts the Sprint Series disappointment of last week behind him to win the Endurance Series in the GTPs.
I have to say, that's a pretty cool shot right there with both of them doing burnouts. Of course, as soon as I say that, the camera switches over. It was cool.
Absolutely is.
Yeah, that's neat. Good for them, man. Good for both of them. I mean, that's I feel for Beaver there. I really do.
Yeah, it's hard not to feel sorry for Beaver, isn't it? Really, after that. I mean,
of course, yeah. I mean,
he just
so
drove
tough.
so well throughout the season, but these last couple of weeks, unfortunately, it has unravelled for him a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, not of his own making last week or 2 weeks ago. You know, that was not his fault, and which brought not of him back into the picture, and then it's an unforced error tonight in the end. Wow. All right, that was a heck of a season.
It absolutely was.
It really
well,
was.
that is it for the J2iCS Endurance Series season. We'll have a look at the race results and see who finished where at the end of that one in that decisive final race of the season here at Twin Motegi. Simply Steve wins by just under 4 seconds in the end, ahead of Nodovin, who wins the title from second. Springflower joins them on the podium with Gavin Oman and Urko rounding out those on the lead lap. Nick Beaver was 1 lap down and loses that championship lead on the final day. Nicolator also alongside him. They lose the team's championship as well together in that Acura. Bozak's 8th place along with Nodovin second is good enough to take that title. Ryan Shaw was 2 laps down with Jason Manuki, and Aikman just did not start as we saw earlier on. I know Steve has won the race, but let's chat to the champion first of all, Nodovin, who we can bring in now. Congratulations, Nodovin, on second place tonight, but also the championship as well here at Motegi. How are you feeling at the end of that one?
I'm really glad I didn't have a hardware failure.
I bet you are.
Yeah. I mean, how aware, by the way, were you of the situation that was going on out there on the road throughout that race?
What do you mean? Could you elaborate?
In terms of what position you needed to win the championship, what was happening to Beaver throughout the day in terms of your strategy and his. How aware were you of all of those going on throughout the day?
Yeah, I was pretty aware of that. Like, I knew if I finished first, got fast lap and pole, we would tie and he would win because he would have like if he finished straight behind me, he would have an extra second place, so he'd win the tiebreaker. So at the start, I was just kind of saving my stuff, and maybe I backed him up into Steve a little bit, but I was just saving the back tires and just hoping maybe they weren't saving as much as I was. And like the tires at the end of that first stint felt awesome. Like I should have kept them on for that short stint I had in the middle, but oh well.
It didn't seem to matter too much in the end, to be honest. It was such a nearly split down the middle anyway. One other thing, by the way, before we let you go, how close would it really have been if you'd have really tried to make it a one-stop race here? Because we were just wondering ourselves about that. Would that have been a real stretch too far?
If you really tried hard, and if you had a tow like the whole time and you were saving and they kind of helped you save as well, I think it may have been possible, because I think like the first stop was my only actual full stint, and I think I was only 5 minutes away from making it to the hour, so that's only an extra 3 laps, and I think it could have been possible. I didn't actually pay attention to how long the times were, so I was like, going into the race, I was like, yeah, I'll probably stop early. Like, I'll stop at 40 minutes and then grab tires and then just go, because the tire wear was terrible on the back end, for our car, at least it was. And so kind of, I was like, okay, let's just stop early. And then we get to the 40-minute mark, and there's still another like 30 liters in the tank. It's like, oh, huh, if I would have known that, I maybe would have tried a one stop. But oh well, I don't regret not going for it. I think it would have been really hard, and I think you probably would have had to sacrifice a fair bit of pace, all to cut out what, like 20-30 seconds. I think it was. It wasn't a lot of time that you would have saved.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been worth it. You probably made the right call in the end. Well, congratulations on finishing second tonight, but more importantly, winning the title here. And thanks for coming to chat to us at the end, as always.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much. That is Notovin, who has won the title here in the Endurance Series tonight. Steve has taken the race win, though, second in 2 races. Congratulations, Steve, on another race win. You seem to have some unbelievable speed tonight, I've got to say, compared to everybody else. Didn't qualify on pole, but after that, it looked pretty smooth sailing for you. How was it out there tonight?
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I was happy that the work we put in on the set, and it all kind of paid out in the end. Obviously, slightly bummed I couldn't do all 3. Couldn't get the pole fastest and the win. Obviously, that's the best. But yeah, I mean, car felt really good out there. Tried to kind of play the race as it came to me. As it was kind of like, I don't know if y'all caught, I went off kind of early on, and so I was definitely worried. I'm like, well, this race is now in recovery, but I was really happy that it came back and had pace to spare, which is like always the best if you can have a little bit more to spare instead of pushing to the limit. So,
well, it certainly didn't take you long to recover from that early little incident. And I think Notovin may have kind of admitted there that early in the race, he was holding the pace back a little bit and kind of wanted to get you back into the mix so that that Beaver would have you to deal with behind him, because he said that he may have kind of forced Beaver back into you a little bit, which is obviously a good strategy on his part, but it brought you right back into the mix. And then Beaver pits, and next thing you know, man, you're gone,
Yeah, I mean, the dirty air, like, I think that's what I locked up into turn, I forget, like on the back straight. The dirty air is really, really big here, and especially in those first couple of laps. It was, I found myself going quite a bit faster when I wasn't in as much dirty air. So it was, I immediately noticed the difference as soon as Beaver pit. I'm like, oh, we are a lot faster. So I obviously had the benefit of not being in the driver, like, I had no claim to the win here tonight, so I had maybe a bit of a benefit there of both drivers probably wanting me to be in the mix and wanting me to be, in there causing trouble for the other one. So I feel like I kind of got the best of both worlds on that one. So
Notovin certainly would have liked you have been up there, but then again, you did go and take a few points off him by winning the race, I suppose, but not that mattered in the end. Congratulations on winning the final race of the season, Steve, and congratulations on, I think, moving up to 3rd place in the championship at the end of the season as well. And thanks for chatting to us at the end, as always.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all as always.
Thanks so much, Steve, there chatting to us, having won here tonight in the final race of the season. In 3rd, it was Springflower, a little bit surprisingly, in the end. Springflower, welcome in. Good to have you with us at the end tonight. 3rd place for you. How surprised are you or not at that result tonight?
Hey, well, that's 2nd podium in a row, yeah? And
yeah.
2 only podium I had in Endurance Series, so I gladly taken it. I had a good race, I had fun on the track, and a little bit over steering into these tight corners, but yeah, had to manage the tire field to the end. It was a very fun race, I liked it.
Yeah, and how was the sort of cold tire warm-up phase? We talked about it so much now in these GTPs, but Motegi seemed like a new challenge again, and Bozak certainly fell foul of it earlier on in the race in a Cadillac. How difficult was it to get those tyres warmed up in the middle of the race and at the start of the race?
Middle of the race it was tough coming out. You have a heavy car, you have cold tires again, like at the beginning of the race. I lost the 2 spots I worked on at the first lap when I came out. But yeah, the time to warm up the tires are in 2 laps. It's you gotta suffer, but in the other end, that's that we play at the end for managing the tires. Pressure tires are what's best.
Well, congratulations on getting that podium here in the final race of the season here at Motegi. Thanks so much for coming to have a chat with us at the end as well.
Thank you guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much.
I love his paint job.
At the end.
I love his paint scheme that he ran towards the end of the year. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, we've had a couple of drivers pop themselves in as well who are not finished on the podium. I don't think we'll chat to Itmadus because he didn't race tonight, but we will chat to Bozak, who is part of the winning team here this season. My Discord is going all over the place, so I think I'm dragging the right people in. Bozak is now with us. What? Congratulations, Bozak, and welcome in. Sorry, congratulations on winning the team's title. Just wanted to give you a bit of or have a bit of a chat to you, I should say, after that. Yourself and Notvin taking the team's title in a pretty close championship battle in the end. How was that race for you? How are you feeling at the end of the season?
Oh, I feel alright about this whole race. I feel like I wish I could have done better with the pit stop, especially afterwards. But me being a little too throttle happy caused the whole dilemma.
So
besides that,
speaking of that, you'll notice when you watch this race back, I commented on this late in the race. I mean, you seem to have pace. You seem to be able to put up some fast laps that are, reasonably close to the fastest guys in the league. But for you, it seems to be about making unforced errors, in these long races, I should say. You'll have the pace and you'll show the quickness or whatever, but you seem to make an unforced error. Is that something that you're dealing with, obviously, and trying to get more consistent and get those out of your game?
Yeah, a lot of it came to trusting the car, because with let's say the Porsche GTP, that car, I tend to drive really well on that. That car, I click well with that car. With the Caddy though,
right,
it tends to have a really hard low end torque, and that's something I don't know, for some reason I can't handle. But with a turbo car, it's like I can handle it just fine. Well, this Caddy, it feels like a different beast. I can.
And that's something that probably a lot of people don't think of, that this is a team, so y'all had to make a choice that was a team car, and it's not, you're not driving your, maybe in this case, you're not driving your personal preference to the car you feel most comfortable in. And that's a good point that people probably don't even think about. And and certainly there's definitely an adjustment period between these different cars, because every one of them drives quite a bit different than the other.
Definitely. It's a whole different experience, though, for sure.
But yeah, man, you had a phenomenal season with Notvin, though, and I think I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to do next season, depending on what cars y'all end up picking to do the next year in. You don't have any insight on that, do you, that you want to let us in on, that maybe we don't know about yet?
Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be racing next season, though, because it really depends on my work schedule coming up this year.
Well, we don't want to see you not in the series for sure.
Oh, it's like it's hard to say, because depending on my work schedule, it could be a night shift where it's going to start from like 4:30 in the evening to like 2 at night.
Oh yeah, that
basically
would kill
past midnight. Yeah, so it could be that shift, or it could be in the shift where it's 5 in the morning to 3:30, which I might be able to make the races But I don't know about my personal performance at the end there.
Right. Well, I think you'll adapt. And once you get in these things and the excitement builds up, I don't think that'll be as big an issue as you might think it would be.
I'm sure.
It may suck when you're at work and you're and you're tired, but as far as in the sim, I think you'll be okay. But hey, congratulations on that team championship. You were definitely a part of that this season, and we certainly hope that you'll be around next season racing with us. I look forward to seeing your improvement. So congratulations, and hopefully we see you next year.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks very much. That is Bozak chatting to us at the end of the season. Part of the winning team here. That's Night Racing. Bozak and Notovin taking the teams tied to, not by a very big gap in the end. That's hovering around 10 points or so. But there you go. A dramatic finale. It's been a great crown jewel race, this one here from Twin Ring Motegi, the final race of Season 10 in the Endurance Series. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And as I said earlier, drama right to the very end. But unfortunately, not the kind that Beaver would have been hoping for.
No, not this time. But what a great season. These guys have been a blast. I've been fortunate to be here. I think I popped in a race or two into the season and ended up doing the whole year, and I'm thrilled that I did. This has been quite an entertaining format with the split difference in racing, the dramatic difference in the cars. It's been fun seeing some of the guys do both and seeing where their skill level lies, because you couldn't get two cars that drive a whole lot different than these two. I mean, there are, but there's quite a bit of difference in the way they drive and adapting to the different tracks and stuff like that. It's been a well-picked season, like the surprise we had at the at Phillip Island, that combo. We weren't expecting that. Motegi turned out to be very interesting when we, maybe didn't know a whole lot about that and weren't, super excited about the track pick. It turned out to be good. Overall, great year. I enjoyed doing the last half of it with you. We had some good times in here. These are some long races sometimes, and it gives us plenty of time to ramble on, which I'm good at, by the way.
It's been fun to do the last part of the season, certainly, and hopefully we will have a new season 11 to come back on in the near future. Of course, in the meantime, make sure you subscribe to the JPB YouTube channel for all the other racing that goes on. Pretty much every night we're live with something in the world of sim racing, so make sure you subscribe and check out something else that's going on between now and then. Hopefully we'll be back with season 11 in the not too distant future. But from myself, Ewan O'Leary, and Jim Cunningham alongside me, it's goodbye from season 10 of the J2iCS Endurance Series, and we'll see you again in the future. Goodbye for now.